Welcome to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr, where Dick unlocks your doors to everything happening in the community and tells you how you can use that to your real estate advantage. And now, here's your host, Dick Barr.
Welcome back, Lake County. This is Dick Barr, your host of Unlocking Lake County, here back with our beautiful co-host, Christin Kaufman. Say hello.
Hello, everyone.
And back from a week-long extended vacation in the beautiful Midwest is Sly Marinca.
Hello, hello.
And we have a special guest in the studio today, president of the Butterfly Effect of Maddox LoPriore Foundation, Ralph LoPriore. Welcome, Ralph.
Thank you. Hey, everybody.
Boy, yesterday was a busy day in news. So, Christin, can you do me a favor? I'm going to be unable to check our sound levels on the stream. Can you just make sure they're running and we're not echoing, and make sure they're happening? Okay.
You got it.
Awesome. So a lot happened yesterday.
Yeah.
A lot of mixed messaging.
A very busy day. In the grand scheme of things, right?
Yeah, we had some local races of interest. We had some national races of interest. Mm-hmm. Wisconsin had the most expensive Supreme Court campaign race in the history of the world.
What, over $100 million, I read?
Over $100 million
crazy.
For one local state race.
Yeah. A lot of money.
Has big sweeping effects.
Of course.
Throughout the country, because it could affect how the maps are drawn.
Sure.
In the future, in the 2030 remap, could make Wisconsin, a different, maybe not a swing state anymore.
It could, yeah, absolutely.
So that was interesting. But what I found most interesting in the Wisconsin race is the fact that they had two specific things on the ballots. One, a Supreme Court race.
What's the other?
The other is the requirement to have voter ID when you vote.
What? Yeah, interesting, huh?
And what would you, I mean, if the state went loudly in one direction, there's no question there's a partisan bend in that Supreme Court race.
Right.
It was a very liberal or progressive even, and a very conservative option.
Yep.
And the state went very liberal on their Supreme Court choice.
Yes.
But on the flip side, they went 60% in favor of voter ID laws.
My mind is blown. I went to bed last night thinking, how can that be?
It just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah, typically you would think those issues to go one way, the same way that the Supreme Court race went, and it did not. So what a shock.
Well, it's good. It's funny. Remember when? Okay, so a couple of years ago in Illinois, there was a ballot referendum to, what was it? It was the Safety Act. Okay. It wasn't a ballot referendum. There was something revolving the Safety Act, I think. I don't know if it was on the ballot or not, but there was some law and order issue that was a statewide referendum.
Okay.
And it basically won overwhelmingly. But then on the flip side, all the individual communities that had kind of defund the police type ballot initiatives on their local ballots all lost. So there seems to be a dichotomy or at least a separation between what people believe and what they think their votes will deliver.
Interesting.
And I think that has something to do with it.
Okay.
I also think there's a possibility that the voter ID law, and I think Wisconsin is proof, is more ubiquitous in thought than we thought.
Yeah.
I think it crosses party lines. I think most people believe that we need to protect the vote and have voter ID laws. Well, at least 60% of Wisconsin believes that.
Sure.
Well, you could argue that they had low turnout. Ralph, you were talking about turnout when you came in. What did you say you read turnout in Illinois was for the yesterday's election?
Well, I just read Lake Villa was 14%.
Yeah.
Oh, Lake Villa was 14%. And it had a contested race. It had a couple of contested races.
Yes, they did.
Specifically in the township and the township trustees.
Yeah. I mean, when I went to vote yesterday at my polling location in Antioch, and there wasn't a wait. There was nobody there. I'm like,
me neither.
Yeah, same.
I mean, I know a
was
lot of people probably voted early, and
I was there early. I was like first thing in the morning.
Okay, yeah, it's just there was nobody.
Oh, you voted election day?
Oh yeah, yeah. I was there at like 8:30 in the morning.
I do too. I enjoy going on election day. I don't want to go early.
I don't. I like vote by mail. I just forgot to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Well, but you did the right thing. You made up and you went on election day.
Yeah.
Which is the way. So, like when we talk to people, you should consider vote by mail because you can do it. Oh, I always vote election day. I never forget. And then you look at the returns after election day. And you're like, hey, guess what? Remember how you never miss an election? Guess what?
You
missed one.
You missed one. Yep.
But I want to go over some of the races. I don't think there were any major surprises yesterday here locally. So I'm just going to go run down if you weren't paying attention. There was a lot of uncontested races, and there was a lot of mixed where one seat in an office was contested, but other parts of it were not. So like the mayor was and the trustees weren't, or the mayor wasn't and the trustees were. Yeah. So we're just going to go through our little section of the world here and just kind of go over our local races. So starting with mayor of the village of Antioch, Scott Gartner had a tough race. He barely
against no one.
Yeah, yeah. Because he's the lowest vote getter on the ballot.
Yeah.
He got 1,665 votes, which is also the highest vote count. But because when you're running your but he is the lowest. So good job, Scott. You barely made it, but congratulations.
Yeah.
The trustee race though was competitive. They had 4 people running for 3 seats. And it looks like the top vote getters were Scott Pierce, Brent Bluthart, and Jose Martinez. The low who will be dropping off is Patrita Berman. She's an incumbent, so she'll be stepping off the board, and I think Jose is the one who'll be joining it. Fox Lake, we talked about that here. That was a very competitive race. That was one of the loudest races in the in our market.
It was like Facebook drama surrounding it, wasn't
Big
it?
time Facebook drama. And I wonder how many elections are run or campaigns are run and elections decided on Facebook versus door to door.
I bet more and more now. I bet more and more because I'm seeing stuff from other areas. I mean, I'm in Antioch and I'm seeing what's going on in Round Lake and I'm seeing what's going on here and there, and it's definitely, I think a lot more people are voicing their opinions on social media, and that for sure has an impact.
I think so too. We're starting to see some stuff on Nextdoor too. I never saw that prior. It was mostly just Facebook, but Nextdoor, I starting to get into these political conversations. But Donnie, the incumbent, Donnie Schmidt, 74% of the vote. Now, there's still late arriving vote by mail still to be counted, but we won't know those for a couple weeks. But Donnie Schmidt had 74% of the vote. His opponent, Sean Stokel, was 25%. Their clerk was uncontested, but in their trustee race, interesting, is Sean Stokel, who ran for mayor. His father, Ron Stokel, is one of two people who were voted off of the trustee board. He was an incumbent trustee.
Wow.
And so while Sean did lose the mayor's race, his father also lost his seat on the board. So the winner in that trustee race was Bernice Conwent. Forgive me if I pronounced that wrong. David Gauger and Jeff Jensen.
Okay.
Ron Stokel and Glenn Close. I wonder if it's the same Glenn Close from Fatal Attraction.
I'm sure.
Probably
the only one, right?
That's how you know her is from Fatal Attraction. I hear Glenn Close, and I think the live-action 101 Dalmatians movie. I don't know why, but that's where my brain first goes.
How old were you when that movie came out?
I have no idea. A child of some sort. I don't know.
Same here. So Fatal Attraction came up. I was 10, I think, 1985, probably.
Shouldn't have been watching it, right?
Probably not. Probably. I think Basic Instincts went a little bit further too. At least they didn't, boil any rabbits. Mayor of Grays Lake. Wow. That was a big swing. That was the largest swing in the county. Elizabeth Davies, who is a trustee, still a trustee, she won that election with 90.6% of the vote.
Wow.
That was huge. 2,385 votes to 246.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's a big one. I love Liz. She is like she's just like Mrs. Community. Her and her husband are fantastic people. So, congratulations to them. The clerk was uncontested. The trustees were uncontested. So Zoe, Pradeep, and William Cornett all keep their seats. Mayor of Gurnee was a contested race. Incumbent Thomas Hood had a decisive victory, 70% to 30% over Quinn O'Brien. I like Quinn. Quinn's a good guy. He announced his candidacy on our
here.
He did, yeah.
Remember that?
And he's a realtor. He's a good guy, and he's a real strong community guy. But I'm glad he's still on the board there in Gurnee, because I think Quinn is a visionary, and I think his visions are good for the community. So hopefully him and Tom kind of kiss and make up, and they get to kind of...
I wonder how that goes.
It's tough, right?
Is it? It's got to be, right? Because I'm coming for your job, and then now it's like we got to go back to pretending like it never happened.
Yeah, but I have to assume that there's just some level of acceptance to that, right? I mean...
True. They are adults.
Yeah, they're grown-ups, and it's also just like part of the job,
Right.
I have to assume to some extent, like, sure, even if there's some hurt feelings, there's got to be to at least some extent of like, all right, good game.
Yeah. True.
I'd hope so, but I kind of know the personal, emotional side of the business too. Sometimes it's hard, but politics makes strange bedfellows. There's I was out endorsing people who you would never in a million years thought I would endorse because I thought what they were doing for the community was 100% right.
Yeah.
So moving on, the trustees of Gurnee, it was a competitive race. Let's see, they had 4 people running for 3 seats, all independents, so I don't know if there were any party affiliations to the mayors running. But the winners were K.T. Thorntonson, Gene Bombs, and Kevin Woodside. Keith Owens, with 1,600 votes, did not succeed to get on the board.
I believe Kevin Woodside, wasn't he the former chief of police for the Gurnee Police Department?
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure he was the previous chief of police, if I remember correctly.
Okay. Cool. I didn't know that. Yeah. So he is on the board.
Okay.
Yeah, he's I don't know if he's an incumbent or not. The village of Haynesville president was uncontested, so Mary Colville stays. But their trustee board was 5 people running for 3 seats, and it looks like the winners were Christopher Abramson, Georgianne Duberstein, and George Duberstein. Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's the married couple over there. And they're both named George. George and Georgianne.
Interesting.
It's kind of funny. Mayor of Lake Villa, uncontested, James McDonald soared with 100% of the vote. Clerk, no candidate. That's interesting. So no candidate, not even a write-in candidate for the clerk of Lake Villa. So I guess that will mean to get appointed by the board soon.
Are you telling me that if I wrote my name in, I would have won?
No, you know what? And Ralph, that's a great question. And a lot of people don't realize there's no such thing as me remembering to turn my ringer
Every
off.
time I don't say it.
You know who's calling me? One of our sponsors, Jeremy Harder from Harder and Shotland.
Oh, he should know better.
Yeah, he should know better. Jeremy, you should be listening to the...
Gosh, Jeremy.
Yes.
Should I bring him on the air?
Absolutely.
No, I'm not gonna.
Put him on the spot.
Right. But I will turn my volume off. So Ralph, a lot of people don't realize this is that when you a write-in, there's no such thing as a pure write-in candidate. Write-in has to register. So they have to actually be on the write-in registration for their name to be considered.
Got it.
That's why Superman has never won an election.
Note to self.
Yes. Trustee race in Lake Villa was uncontested, 3 for 3. They're all moving forward. And there was a Lindenhurst, same thing. Clerk, trustees, and mayor. They do a fantastic job in Lindenhurst. We love you guys. Love what they did, bringing that Linden Plaza back to life. Yeah. You know, working with the developer and the community to kind of bring that back to where downtown Lindenhurst is meaningful again. So they were uncontested, rightfully so. Big up. I don't know if it was an upset or not, but it was a big swing on the race in for Round Lake mayor. Well, technically it's called the president, but Russ Crayley, the incumbent, got 19% of the vote, and the opponent, Brian Brubaker, got 80% of the vote. We had both of them in here, both good guys. Nice talking to them, and they, had very distinct visions about what happened in Round Lake versus what they expect to happen in Round Lake. So that was a pretty decisive election.
Wow.
Clerk was uncontested in Round Lake. The trustee race, it was 5 people running for 3 seats. The top 3 vote getters were John Boyk, Howard Schultz, and Kevin Strine. Both Sanjay Patel and Elizabeth Ferd were inched out of the election. There was an uncontested, unexpired term for trustee. Mayor of Round Lake Beach, technically contested, but only a write-in opponent. So we won't know the write-in results until for 2 weeks. But the pretty decisive. So typically, if there's a write-in candidate, you would expect the mayor's vote total to be less than their uncontested trustee and clerk's totals. But Scott Nichols was the highest vote getter of all of his trustees and uncontested clerks. So there's no way that there'll be enough write-in votes to counter his 948 votes.
Okay.
Good job, Scott.
Yeah, congratulations, Scott.
Way to go, Scott.
Yep, frequent guest on our show. We love him. We can say that now that the election's over. We can't say that before the election because we can't endorse. That's why we're taking advantage of it now. No matter who wins. Oh, yeah, we loved you always.
Yep, absolutely.
We don't have to go on the record. Did you guys ever watch the show News Radio?
No.
Yes, I did.
News Radio, one of my favorite shows. Phil Hartman, Andy Dick was on it. More Tierney? Yeah. Anyway, they're doing this election, and they're voting for who's going to be the boss, and everyone keeps telling the boss, oh, yeah, we're voting for you. We're voting for you. And he literally loses 7 votes to nothing, and then he goes to Phil Hartman, and he's, I thought you voted for me. He goes, I'm pretty sure I did vote for you. I lost 7 to nothing. Trustee in Round Lake Beach that was contested. A newcomer, Ricky Colon, was on the ballot, but he did not get enough votes to topple any of the incumbent trustees. So Sylvia Valadez, longtime trustee, great girl. Chuck Husk, again, another longtime good guy. And Christy Davis, she's relatively new. I think she's on her 2nd term. She does a great job as well. Great community person, good for outreach, foundations, charities, and all that stuff. So they all maintained their seats. Dana Hillesheim ran for trustee in an unexpired term. I think she was appointed to the position a couple of years ago. Okay. She used to be the clerk. Round Lake Park, another one where there was a change. Linda Lucasen, the incumbent, ran against, was challenged by Robert Seminary. And Seminary, pretty decisive victory, 73% 26%. Seemed like the big talking points in that race had to do with our industry, was permitting on building construction, on home sales, things like that. And that was one of the things that Robert talked about in the studio was the inspection process. So seems like the public kind of liked what he had to say and agreed with him. So he had a pretty decisive victory, 900 votes to 336. Clerk was also in Round Lake Park contested. Lucy Nava, who was on Seminary's slate, did win with 67% of the vote. And then the trustees, it looks like all of Seminary's trustee slate won. Ruben Mendoza, Christine Luchek, and Deborah Bennington. Touch on Wadsworth, because we do touch it in our Market Minute. Fred, I'm going to say Whitty or White, wins with 58% of the vote over Mildred Corder. The clerk, it looks like, so the mayoral winning candidate, their slated clerk candidate did not win. So that's interesting. So they voted for the mayor, but not the clerk. Same thing with the trustee. So the trustee actually, no, the trustee did win, but just eked it over Chris Finkel. So so there's a little bit of going to be a split, kind of a split government there in Wadsworth. Going to go down and then just touch on some of the supervisor races. We'll talk about Antioch, Grant, and Avon and Lake Villa. Contested race, Tom Shaughnessy and Jeff Smouse, both of those gentlemen were in here, nice enough to come join us. Shaughnessy wins with 55% of the vote. The Antioch Township Clerk was uncontested. The Highway Commissioner was uncontested. The Assessor was uncontested. And then the trustees were running for 4 seats, so we won't go into those. Avon Township Supervisor, another pretty big win for Michelle Bauman, another realtor, big fans of her. 60% of the vote for Michelle, and her entire slate won as well. Wow. The only person from the other slate to win was the assessor. Michelle's slate did not have an assessor, so the incumbent assessor, Cynthia Brust, will remain the assessor. She was uncontested. Trustees, Michelle's slate also was the top vote getters in that race. Grant Township Supervisor was uncontested. The clerk, my friend Judy Martini, uncontested, but she's phenomenal, fantastic. So happy to see her still involved. Assessor was uncontested. Highway Commissioner, Kim Kiesgen, longtime Highway Commissioner. Her son was running, Brian Kiesgen, but he lost to James Smack, who was on the slate of the victors of that night. So he wins with 64% of the vote. Grant Township trustees were uncontested, 4 for 4. Daniel Venturi wins rather decisively, 59% to 40% over Thomas Chilcote. They were newcomers coming in. I know they knocked a lot of doors. They talked to a lot of people, but I guess not persuasive enough for the community. And Dan Venturi wins at least one more term. His entire slate won as well.
Okay.
Excuse me. Jim Jorgensen, everyone's favorite highway commissioner, did win, but he was uncontested, and he also gets 100% of the vote. The trustees, all of Dan's slates won. So that's about it.
Why so many uncontested? What do you think's going on there?
Do you know how hard it is?
I just don't there's enough people who want to step up and do it.
That's what I'm thinking, too. It's like the younger generation's like, you know what? No, it's.
Do you think it's a younger generation thing? I mean, do you know if there's been a long history of there not being a lot of contested local government elections?
By younger generation, I consider myself a younger generation. Even though I'm not. I'm in my mid 40s, but it seems to me like there's a lot of old blood that is running uncontested.
I would love to see the statistics of.
I would too.
10 years ago, uncontested versus now. I
voted in Antioch, and I was like, holy cow, I don't have to pick anyone because they're not running against anyone.
Yeah, and you know what? That's something that I do.
A lot of it.
Yeah, something that I do want to say, though, to anybody who did run and lost and maybe is feeling like crap today, thank you. Yeah. Thank you for giving the people an opportunity to choose. Right. Because that is still something that you provided to your community, whether or not you feel good about it, you know, afterwards. If you lost by a lot or by a little, you still give everyone the option to choose someone, and that's cool.
Right. And I'm just thinking back on all the times I voted. I voted every time I could since I turned old enough to be able to vote. Yeah. I don't ever remember this many. Nobody's running against you. So at least I don't remember it, but it could have been different.
So we saw a couple of nasty races, right? We saw the one in Fox Lake.
Yeah.
People just dragging people's families into the mix, people's finances into the mix.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised at all. We see so many uncontested races. It's hard to get people to stand up and put their family in the crosshairs, and then to step up to ultimately to serve the community.
Right. What's the reward?
Right.
Like, what do I get for this?
And most of these races are low or no pay.
Yeah.
You know, and it's amazing how dirty a race for literally no money will.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Not to mention, I mean, with just how ugly the political climate is in general, I mean, I can't imagine it is very incentivizing. Like, yeah, I'm going to sign up to be the whatever your local government position is that you're considering, just so that people can find out that my politics don't align with theirs, and then they can say vile things about me on the internet constantly. Can't wait, you know?
I'll tell you, though, once you're in, it's immensely rewarding.
Yeah, I believe it.
It's immensely rewarding, and it's rewarding on a personal level, not so much on a financial. Although some politicians have figured out how to make it happen, right? And luckily, with ethics reform and new laws, it's much more difficult. You've got to really know what you're doing to succeed at that, and look at the people who got caught. Yeah, no one knew what they were doing more than those people, and I'm not going to mention any names, but you know, some of them are just going through the FBI courts right now. But it's immensely rewarding when you can do something for someone because you have that voice, that position. You know, when someone comes and says, "Oh," to me today, and says, "Oh, I have this problem." Well, there's nothing I can do about it. But when I sat on a seat at the county board, and they came and said, "Hey, my neighbor built this, and it's flooding my whole basement out," there's actually something I can do about that.
Sure, yeah.
You know, that feels good.
Sure,
I believe that. Sure. Absolutely.
And then it's also about having a voice on issues where your voice matters, and even if it doesn't get its way, it at least injects its comment into the debate process, which I think is also very useful.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we talked about how, like, we don't feel like young people are really taught enough about, like, local government in general, and I think that how to include yourself in it is a part of that same conversation, right? Because I don't know any I mean, you mentioned young people earlier. I don't know any young people who would even know the first thing about joining their local government in any way whatsoever.
Like, where do you start even?
Where do you start? Idea. And especially with having social media, you know, and just being able to make your voice heard on such a quick, instant gratification kind of way, I'm wondering if that also is just, it kind of satisfies that itch to make a difference in a way that maybe doesn't urge you to take that next follow-through step of actually joining your local government to do something about it, you know, because you post something, you make an opinion, and you're like, I did something, you know?
But on the flip side of that, I could also see how that could deter someone by seeing how easily you get canceled if you post something that someone doesn't agree with. All of a sudden, you're the bad guy. And
yeah, for sure.
So it's kind of...
Never noticed that.
No, you've never been involved.
No, but I mean, people on either side of extreme viewpoints had to say vile things about people, and I could see that being something like that would just scare you away from it. But if you're someone who's not scared away from it, I mean, maybe it's for you, because
I don't know. Look at me and Lou Bruno. Lou Bruno, another host on WRLR 98.3, and he's got a show called the CERT Show. It's based out of the Mundelein CERT program. And Lou and I I know I do, enjoy beating each other up.
Okay.
We go full throttle. And what I like about arguing with Lou is that I think we both understand that no matter what we say, there's no fracture or damage to the underlying respect of the intelligence of the other. And we disagree wholeheartedly with everything the other person believes, almost everything. But when it comes to local matters, I think we have less disagreement, more so on national matters. But I do enjoy being able to aggressively advocate for my position, and I think Lou does too. I could be misreading him, but I do believe it. We're going to get started on the Market Minute. So give me 1 second. Here we go.
Stay on top of the market with Dick Barr's Market Minute.
Dick Barr's Market Minute.
Okay, we are getting much, much busier, as many of you are starting to see. So we're going to hit this week's Market Minute starting Monday, March 31st. We're going to head over to Antioch, where Antioch saw $2.8 million in sales this week. It's a week-over-week drop of 49%, but month-over-month increase of just under 100%. Year-over-year increase of 21%. Inventory month supply is 1.75 months. Lowest sales price was $175,000 with a $1.9 million high. Median sales price in Antioch remains at $399.9 thousand, which is a year-over-year increase of 7%. We talk about that often. You keep waiting to buy. That median price is rising every year, between 4 and 15%. Average market time in Antioch right now is 36.4 days compared to 32 days last week. Active listings on the market is 42. We have 14 new listings this week, 8 new contracts, and 4 new closed. Now heading on over to Volo, Fox Lake, and Ingleside, where they had just under $2 million in sales this past week. Week-over-week decrease of 5%, month-over-month decrease of 39%, but a year-over-year increase of 19%. Sitting on only a 1-month supply of inventory, $159,000 was the lowest sales price with a high of $1.5 million. $387,000 was the median, which is, again, an increase of 8.3%. Average market time is 34 days. We have 20 active listings currently, 9 new, 6 new contracts, and 7 closed. Now on over to Grays Lake Market, where they had $2.5 million in sales, a drop of 41% week over week, 44% month over month, but a 6% increase year over year. Just under 2 months supply of inventory. Lowest sales price was $269,000 with a high of $700,000. Median sales price was $450,000, a year over year increase of 8.6%. Average days on the market's only 26 days. Grace Lake is sitting on 40 active listings, 8 new listings, 6 new contracts, and 3 closed listings. Sorry for the slapping. Feel like a 5th grade Valley girl. Now went over to the Gurney Market, where they're sitting on $2 million. Last week they had $2 million in sales, less than a month's supply of inventory in Gurney. $161,000 was the lowest sales price, high of $735,000. Median sales price of $369,000. Year-over-year increase of the median only 3%. 35.1 days is the average market time. 22 active listings, 6 new listings, 5 new contracts, and 5 new closed. Now on over to our backyard of Lindenhurst and Lake Villa, where we had $2.4 million in sales this past week. 1.3 down week over week. Half a 50% drop month over month, but a 20% increase year over year. Less than a month's supply of inventory on the market. $135,000 was the lowest priced home sold. $735,000 was the high, and the median sales price of $399,000. Year over year increase. That's 10%. 22 days is the average market time in Lindenhurst and Lake Villa, with 25 active listings, 5 new listings, 11 new contracts, and 13 closed listings. That's the highest in the area. Now on over to Round Lake, where we'll finish up. Almost $5 million in sales.
Wow.
115% increase week over week.
Wow.
Although month over month, a drop of 34%. Year over year increase 9%. Less than a month's supply of inventory sitting on the market. Lowest sales price under $100,000.
Amazing.
Only place in the area where you can find that. Highest sales price, though, $800,000. So the range of properties in the Round Lake area from $99,000 to $800,000. Tell me we don't have housing supply for everyone's taste and interest,
seriously.
Right? Median sales price, a very affordable $332,000. Year over year increase, though, 6%. A little bit more modest than the others, sitting at 8 and 9%, but still 6% increase is good for any home sellers. Average time in the market's only 32 days. 21 active listings, 9 new listings this week, compared to 18 contracts this week. Guess that means supply is eating up like a dot in a Pac-Man game. And 7 closed listings this past week. And I know you guys are seeing this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. Christin, I can't even get you the answer to the phone. You're so busy. You go flying here. You got appointments here, there. You got this under contract, that under contract.
No.
What's going on out there?
I'm literally, as we're speaking, juggling, getting showing requests right now. Like, I'm genuinely doing that while we're doing this show. It is very busy out there right now. You nailed it. Just super busy. Sellers are getting ready. They're moving. We got the buyers that are calling Sly left and right to get ready to start buying. I got people asking me to take them everywhere. It's just happening.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It is
I
so
know
fun.
You thrive on the busy, too.
I really do, yeah. That's when I'm at my best, is when I have not too many, but enough things to keep me just constantly going is when I'm just like absolutely at my best.
The Sly, how about you? Where we see the contract, the mortgage starts?
Yeah,
same thing.
It's gangbusters right now.
Yeah.
For purchase transactions, even refis, people are.
I'm pretty sure Sly and I have talked every single day this week.
Yep, we have.
Good.
Yeah, so even on my trip, I mean, my job requires me to, travel with a laptop and answer my phone, and I'm in the Smoky Mountains, and I'm at the Dollywood show, and answering my phone, and hold on a minute, there's a horse in the background making noise,
No,
let him go. Literally, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So
did you see Dolly?
No Dolly sightings, but we did go to Dollywood, which was nice. But
guys,
yeah, it's
for those who don't know, Sly's phone is literally ringing right now.
Right.
I'm
with
looking at his phone literally ringing right now. Flip side of it, I'm at
answer it.
speech therapy with my kids yesterday, just texting away and trying to get it all sorted out and juggled, and it's happening.
Yeah, very busy.
Now, scary report in Newsweek this week.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
I don't know a Newsweek.
Mortgage delinquencies, highest in 20 years.
That one. Okay.
In fact, here, I just want to switch.
6.1 million people currently delinquent on FHA loans.
Was it just FHA?
Let me look. I saw what you're talking about. Somebody posted, but
because that meter concerns me on a few different levels.
Yeah.
Number one, it's got the potential of scaring the public, right?
Sure.
It's a potential of sensationalizing an issue, because I think the bigger metric is there's not just a delinquency in housing. There's also a delinquency in rental payments, and there's a delinquency in credit card payments. And these metrics will start to scare buyers and sellers alike, which could cause a quick reversal in housing availability and
absolutely,
because what you might get is more buyers afraid to pull the trigger, and more sellers who want to jump on the bandwagon to get their house sold before the markets drop. And if you see a large increase in inventory coupled with a decrease in purchasing, we could be flipping.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So let's hope that any data that goes out there is accurate and not any attempt to try to alarm the market.
Yeah, it doesn't say FHA. It just looks like over 6 million Americans were late on their mortgage payments, but it doesn't say how late.
Right, it could be a day,
exactly.
to 90 days. Right. Well, it could even be more than that, 90 days. But, after 90 days, it's basically in foreclosure at that point.
Right, and people do think that, if I'm, my payment's due on the 1st and I pay it on the 3rd, that's technically late. Right. But you have a grace period for 15 days where you're not penalized financially, or it doesn't get reported to your credit bureau.
But you got 30 days for the credit
until 30 days.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I'm not sure if that statistic is, taking that into account, if it's just people that are a few days late that haven't made their payment for the month yet, or they're in fact more than 30 days late, which means they're behind.
Now it's trouble.
Yeah, now it's trouble.
Yeah, so we're going to keep an eye on that. We're going to keep you updated on all of that. And we are going to take our first break. We'll be back in just a few moments. Stay tuned.
Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr will return in just a few moments after these important messages.
I was here.
Dial.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County.
Unlocking Lake County
With Dick Barr. 98.3 The Life.
It's time for the weather.
This weather update is brought to you by Fidelity National Title Insurance Company. Hold on to your hats this afternoon because showers and thunderstorms are rolling through. We're looking at a mostly cloudy sky with winds from the south-southeast whipping up to 20 miles per hour, sometimes gusting to 40. And yes, a 90% chance you'll want that umbrella. Tonight, the rain's backing off a bit after 9, leaving us partly cloudy with temps rising through the night. A southwest wind might get you with a few gusts up to 35 miles per hour. Looking ahead to Thursday, the sun's making a comeback. It's mostly sunny with highs reaching up to the mid-50s before a slight drop as we head into the afternoon. Keep those sunglasses handy.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
Your favorite show right here on 98.3 FM.
98.3 The Life.
time for Unlocking This Day in History, brought to you by Harder & Shotland Law Firm in Round Lake Beach. Let's take a quick trip back in time to what happened today in history. Today, we're jumping back to April 2nd, 1978. The Swedish pop sensation ABBA scores yet another smash hit as Take a Chance on Me climbs to the #1 spot on the Billboard Hot 100 here in the United States. Meanwhile, across the waters in Sweden, IKEA was undoubtedly selling a mountain of meatballs to celebrate. But wait, hold on to your bell bottoms because we're not done yet. In another corner of the world, April 2nd, 1982 marks the beginning of the Falklands War. On this day, Argentina invades the disputed Falkland Islands, kicking off a brief yet intense conflict with Britain that lasted just a hair over 2 months. Talk about a turf war with very blustery weather. Fast forward a few decades, and on April 2nd, 2005, the world bids farewell to Pope John Paul II. He served as Pope from 1978 to 2005 and was known for his influential globe-trotting missions and his love of youth gatherings. Talk about leaving a legacy. Finally, in the realm of literature, who could forget April 2nd, 1805? It marks the birthday of the master storyteller Hans Christian Andersen. Yes, the very man who gave us timeless tales like The Little Mermaid and The Ugly Duckling. We can only imagine he celebrated with a fairy tale feast of imagination. That's it for this time-traveling episode of Unlocking This Day in History. We will catch you next time.
Are we dead? Oh, the music played out. When you hear that music stop, you got to yell at us. We just had dead air. Hold on.
Are we on?
I think there we go. Mike's back on.
No, Mike's back on. But yeah, no, the DJ set stopped, so we had dead air that whole time. Sorry, everybody.
Thanks for waiting
we
for
could
us.
We could have been singing in here. You know? We had no idea.
Yeah, if you ever hear the music stop, that means everything stops. Yep. Okay, we're back.
Hi.
Yes. Hello.
I don't know how long you had dead air. Sorry, folks, but we're back.
That moment of peace was brought to you by us.
Right. Okay. So I'm Dick Barr, your host, and we already had our mic checks coming back because we all talked. Now you, Ralph, say hi.
Hey.
Okay, so we're going to jump in right to Sly's Mortgage Minute. So if you give me just 1 second here as I get de-kerfluffled and get started with Sly.
Here is the Mortgage Minute with Sly Marinca and CrossCountry Mortgage on Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
All right. So our 30-year fixed national average rate is sitting right at 6.72%, which is...
Oh, my gosh.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Hello, everybody. Sitting right at 6.72%, which is exactly what it was 2 weeks ago, the last time I was here. So literally no change. The 10-year Treasury yield is sitting at 4.211%, down a few ticks from about 4.25 a couple of weeks ago. So kind of in a holding pattern. We did have a surprise ADP report come out recently that indicated in March job creation was 155,000 new jobs when only 105,000 new jobs were expected. So that's a little bit of a surprise. We'll have to keep an eye on the jobs market. The Atlanta Fed revised their Q1 GDP estimate. They were initially thinking GDP was at negative 2.8% growth, and they actually revised it downward to negative 3.7%. So the Atlanta Fed definitely thinks we're heading towards a recession, which makes that jobs number seem even a little bit more. It makes it stand out even a little bit more. This afternoon, there will be some reciprocal tariff announcements that could impact markets significantly. We're in kind of uncharted territory a little bit. The markets are really looking for direction. Is the economy going well? Are these tariffs going to bring back inflation, or will they, in fact, make things better? So time will tell on all of that. But in the meantime, like I said, we're sitting right at where we were 2 weeks ago, 6.72%, down significantly from where we were, earlier this year. I mean, if you remember, we started in January at the 7.5% range. So, definitely down from that. So I did wanted to touch base a little bit on something that this week especially, we did get quite a few contracts in, and one thing that we're seeing a lot is buyers asking for closing cost credits.
Yeah.
So a lot of our buyers, they have the money saved up for the down payment, or they're getting some sort of assistance, but a lot of them, are looking for closing cost credits from sellers, and we're seeing that kind of get accepted. So I just wanted to touch base on that briefly and kind of give you an idea of what that looks like. So if you're pre-qualified or pre-approved for a conventional loan and you're putting down 10% or less, the maximum credit you could ask for is 3% of the purchase price. That's the maximum. If you're putting down between 25 and 10%, so a 75 LTV to 90 LTV, you could ask for 6%. If you're putting down more than 25%, you could ask for up to 9% in closing cost credits. And we are seeing, particularly when we get lenders, like if I'm competing with a lender that's out of state and they don't realize or they don't know how much our closing you could actually ask for too much in credits. Our closing costs are not 9%. I've never seen anywhere near that. And we've seen a few instances where buyers are working with out-of-state lenders, and they end up switching over to us, and they get these, they have these huge closing cost credit, and it's like, okay, well, now we got to figure out a way to eat all of that up. What are we going to do?
Yep.
And in a lot of cases, it probably is better to just get up, because remember, the closing costs can only cover the actual closing costs and prepaids. They can't go towards your down payment. You got to come up with your down payment. So there are cases where you could be asking for too much. So it's important to work with someone local that knows what our closing costs are here in Illinois. We could do a really good estimate even before, you get under contract, so kind of how much to ask for.
I want to just add on to that just a little bit. Prepaids, just so people know, prepaid insurance, prepaid taxes, prepaid HOA fees, right? Yep. So there
daily interest.
Yep, daily interest. You can prepay quite a bit, and there's ways to kind of absorb a lot of that.
Sure.
But I agree with you. We rarely see more than,
3% is kind of all you really need. Anything more than that. So as a lender, we got to get creative. One of the things we could do with extra credits is buy down your interest rate.
Right.
So now you're getting a better monthly payment, but on the flip side of that, you're paying for that. What happens if in a year or two you refinance out of this loan because rates come down?
Wasted money.
That's wasted money. I would rather revise, and we've actually had this happen before, where we actually, we'll have the purchase price reduced by whatever the amount of the difference is on too many credits, instead of doing a buy down. So it's just important to work with someone local that kind of knows exactly what you're up against, so that you're not running into that problem 2 days before the closing. Oh crap, we're getting too many credits. What are we going to do? That money technically has to go back to the seller,
right,
if you don't use it or if you can't use it.
Now that does not include buyer broker agency.
Correct.
That's extra. Okay.
So for non-owner occupied properties, so if you're an investor purchasing an investment property and you're using a Fannie and Freddie loan, you're capped at 2% closing cost credit. So like builders, for instance, we work with some builders that are giving big incentives to offload some of their inventory, and we have an investor purchasing 2 units, and I mean, they were offering 6% to go towards closing costs so she could get a super low rate. And no, 2% is the max you're allowed to get. So they're going to have to figure out reducing the purchase price. And as a builder, they don't want to do that because then that affects their price, right, for the next one. So a little bit of a trying to figure all that out now. FHA allows up to 6% in closing cost credits maximum, and VA allows up to 4%. So just keep in mind those closing cost credits. You still, for VA, you don't have to have a down payment, but for FHA and conventional Fannie Freddie, that can't eat into your down payment. You still have to come up with a down payment. The closing costs can only be used for the actual cost and the prepaids and your escrow account and things like that. So just keep that in mind and work with someone local that knows these things, because if you're just going online and getting somebody from out of state that may not be as well versed in local costs, you could end up in a position where you're out.
A lot of the out-of-state bar lenders, they don't understand our tax arrearage system.
Yeah.
So they're like, they don't even know that the buyers are in many cases getting $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 credit to use for a lot of that. Now, the borrower can use those credits to offset how much money they have to bring to closing, but that doesn't offset how much money they have to show in their bank to close, correct?
Well, so that recently changed where we could actually use the tax credits that we know. But here, for instance, right now, somebody closing in April, taxes are due in June. If you close in April, you don't have a May mortgage payment. In Lake County, your first tax installment is due in June. So what ends up happening for closings right now is we have to estimate how much your taxes are going to be, because that bill comes out in May. I got to pay it in June. So what's happening is the title company is actually holding on to what's called a TI. A TI is 1.5 times last year's first installment.
1.5?
Correct.
Oh, wow.
So again, that's just something else that we get outside lenders that, don't realize how that's done. And you could be starting off right off the bat with the shortage in your escrow account if not enough money was collected or held on to, and factoring all that in to the cash to close. So there's a lot of tricky things, and this isn't in any area. Every area is different, right?
Right.
And so, like when I do loans in Florida, I know that there's different things that go on in Florida with their different ways they do it, and their different title fees, and their different intangible taxes and things like that. So it's just important to have somebody local that kind of knows all those things, so you could be as accurate as possible.
Now, for anyone who doesn't know what that means, do you want to explain what it means when you have a shortage in your escrow account?
Oh, yeah. So my least favorite time of year in my job is right around the holidays. And the reason for that is at the end of every year, every mortgage company will do an analysis on your escrow account. And they'll say, okay, here's how much money we paid out this year for your taxes. Here's how much money we paid out this year for your homeowner's insurance. Mm-hmm. And as we all know, and especially this year experienced, what went up? Our taxes went up. I know my homeowner's insurance went up 40%.
Yeah.
Wow.
So at the end of the year, I get a nasty letter, even me personally, that, hey, by the way, we paid X amount of dollars and you only had this much in your account. You're now short. You could either write us a check for the difference, or we'll add it to your monthly mortgage payment for the next 12 months. And now, so they're making up for the money that backwards, plus now they have to make it right going forward. So it's actually a double whammy. And I mean, we had some borrowers this year that called that said, we can't do this. We literally had people refinance just to reset their escrows and to get it right and pull out a little bit of equity. And the problem is that happens every year. So it's not like it's happened once.
We're caught up.
It's an ongoing battle, and that's literally my least favorite time of year is when people call and say, Sly, we just got this in the mail. Why did our mortgage payment go up $400? Send me the paperwork. Let me take a look at it.
And then send me your ballot so I know how you voted. And if you voted, whether it's your fault or not.
Right. So yeah, just you always got to stay on top of that escrow account. And when the bill comes out, so you could prepare for that. So the bill comes out in May, I'm going to look at my tax bill and see exactly how much I owe. I'll see exactly what my mortgage company is collecting, and I'll know that I can make up that to in my mind, make up that difference. And it gets exacerbated even more if you buy a new construction. I don't know, have you guys seen this stuff going on in my neighborhood in Antioch? There has been some viral videos out there where a gentleman purchased a home and the builder not promised him, but told him expect taxes somewhere around, I think, $12,000 to $13,000. And his tax bill pushing 20.
Oh,
and,
my God.
And, on new construction, that first year, you get a sweetheart year because the house is not fully assessed. So you may get a really nice low tax bill, and you think, all right, I'm sitting pretty. And then the following year, when it kicks in, you now don't have enough money in your escrow account. So guess what? You got to make up for that past year plus going forward. I mean, this gentleman, I want to say his mortgage payment went up like $2,000 a month-ish. That's how off it was to make it to where it was unaffordable.
Jeez.
So you got to be really, really careful if you're building a new house. Know that I'm dealing with another guy right now that he actually used me, and we are very careful to tell our people, hey, look, we're going to hold on to too much money the first year. You're going to get a refund. Don't spend that money, because I promise you next year they're going to come looking for it, and you're going to wish you had it. So. So yeah, it's important, again, to work with someone local that kind of understands these nuances, especially, with regards to taxes and when the taxes have to be paid and how that all works and the TIs and all that. Just very important. So
most people are amazed to find out exactly how much knowledge is needed in a transaction. Like all of these things you're saying, I'm sure a lot of people listening to it and saying, what? I have to know what? What's a TI? What's this? Oh my God, this fee, that fee? Got to prepare for this fee and this tax?
And I don't expect any of my borrowers to know that.
No.
But I better know that, and I better explain that properly. Otherwise, I'm going to have a bunch of unhappy people that... like I'll get calls in the wintertime when it's, when those, escrow analysis go out, and I already know. I mean, I experience it personally. Taxes went up, insurance went up and so it's easy for me to explain. And, I could literally put the pen to paper and say, here's what happened. Here's how it happened. Here's when it happened. Here's why it happened. I promise you it's not your mortgage rate changing.
Yeah.
It's taxes and insurance, but just important to kind of keep an eye on that stuff. And if you ever need help with that, I'm always happy to help. It's very easy for me to look at your paperwork.
If anyone wants to call and complain to you about their mortgage escrow, what's the phone number they call?
Yeah, they could call 847-722-1775, and I'm always happy to help.
That's good. Thank you. How about you, Christin? Because you know a lot about this. If people want to call to you, complain about this, what's the number they reach you at?
Yeah, if you want to call me and complain about it, or for some reason you wanted to go check out a new build, make sure you bring a realtor with you first. Day one, bring someone with you. Otherwise, they will not let someone represent you. You could call me at 847-977-6751. Or if you're like any of the other millennials that are like me, you could also text me at that number if you don't want to call me.
Yep. Can they reach you on WhatsApp?
Cannot. No. No, you cannot.
That's an inside joke for everyone listening. Is as realtors, we get all these scams, texts from investors. Say, I want to buy that $8 million home. Please call me on WhatsApp.
So. I get those all the time too.
Do you?
Oh yeah. In fact, recently I had one where it was an investor looking to invest in our area from LA, and the hours he wanted me to reach him back were so weird. I'm like, what? He had to be out of the country pretending like he was from LA or something, because he's like, oh, you could only text me from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. your time. And I'm like, bro, I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
Like, no.
You're not that important.
Yeah. Right. And what's sad about it is that in our profession, we have to take the calls seriously, kind of. So it's like, we will respond, typically, even though we know. Yeah. And sometimes you give this kind of smart-ass response to them, knowing it's a scam, until you find out, oh, no, it's legit. You're like,
that's like literally what happened when my husband called Dick to list our home back before I was in real estate. So
really?
So I've talked about this before. So my husband has an 808 area code because he lived in Hawaii for a while.
Sure.
And so my husband called Dick. Dick answers his phone. Hello. Oh yeah, you want me to sell your house? Okay, sure. What's the address? And like it took a couple of like back and forth, and then I was like, yeah, I was thinking about it, and I was talking about it with Christin, and we see you from Christoph's all the time, and he's like, oh, Rob from Christoph's. Oh, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Completely thought it was fake until he realized it was real.
Oh, that's great.
If I ever answer I'm usually very nice when I answer my phone. I'm like, hey, this is Dick. How can I help you? Right? But if I ever answer like, yeah. or what? I think you're a scam. Usually if it comes from a phone number that looks very similar to mine, that's how I know it's a scam. Right. But that fails me too, because my prefix, which is 644, so 847-644, a lot of people have that.
It's common,
Verizon. Right. So like I couldn't use that anymore to kind of just be dismissive. So, hey, if it wastes 30 seconds of our time, sometimes if they're willing to talk, I'll try to waste as much time of theirs as I can.
Really?
Like I'll get,
I don't have the time to waste for that.
I love that.
I just hang up.
I get off on watching these videos on YouTube. Have you ever seen them? They go after the scammers.
Yeah, I love it.
They actually get into, they break into the scammers' computers and see their cameras.
And they know their names. And,
and it freaks them out. I love those.
Interesting.
Those
you
are a
have
lot
that
of
kind
fun.
of time on your hands.
My favorite one ever was the one with where the guy pretended he was an FBI agent and he was at a crime scene.
How do you know this person? And the guy's like, no, I don't know. Well, what was your business with it? And he literally is pretending like he's at an FBI.
That's so funny.
That goes way back.
Yeah, that was my favorite one ever.
I think the first time I ever heard that was listening to Howard Stern show.
Yeah,
I think
so too.
Yeah, I mean, well, he's still on the air, but I haven't listened to Stern since like 2014, I think.
Yep.
We're going to take one quick break. We're not going to do dead air this time, I promise. If so, that'll be our third technical difficulty for the day. We have 2 so far. But we'll be right back, and we're going to have a nice long conversation with Ralph LoPriore from the Butterfly Effect of Maddox LLC Foundation. Come back and join us.
Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr will return in just a few moments after these important messages. Don't touch that dial.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
Unlocking Lake County.
98.3, The Life.
It's the best station on the radio. It's time for the weather.
This weather update is brought to you by Fidelity National Title Insurance Company. Hold on to your hats this afternoon because showers and thunderstorms are rolling through. We're looking at a mostly cloudy sky with winds from the south-southeast whipping up to 20 miles per hour, sometimes gusting to 40. And yes, a 90% chance you'll want that umbrella. Tonight, the rain's backing off a bit after 9, leaving us partly cloudy with temps rising through the night. A southwest wind might get you with a few gusts up to 35 miles per hour. Looking ahead to Thursday, the sun's making a comeback. It's mostly sunny with highs reaching up to the mid-50s before a slight drop as we head into the afternoon. Keep those sunglasses handy.
This is Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
It's time for Unlocking This Day in History. Brought to you by Harder & Shotland Law Firm in Round Lake Beach. Let's take a quick trip back in time to what happened today in history. Today, we're jumping back to April 2nd, 1978. The Swedish pop sensation ABBA scores yet another smash hit as Take a Chance on Me climbs to the #1 spot on the Billboard Hot 100 here in the United States. Meanwhile, across the waters in Sweden, IKEA was undoubtedly selling a mountain of meatballs to celebrate. But wait, hold on to your bell bottoms because we're not done yet. In another corner of the world, April 2nd, 1982 marks the beginning of the Falklands War. On this day, Argentina invades the disputed Falkland Islands, kicking off a brief yet intense conflict with Britain that lasted just a hair over 2 months. Talk about a turf war with very blustery weather. Fast forward a few decades, and on April 2nd, 2005, the world bids farewell to Pope John Paul II. He served as Pope from 1978 to 2005 and was known for his influential globe-trotting missions and his love of youth gatherings. Talk about leaving a legacy. Finally, in the realm of literature, who could forget April 2nd, 1805? It marks the birthday of the master storyteller Hans Christian Andersen. Yes, the very man who gave us timeless tales like The Little Mermaid and The Ugly Duckling. We can only imagine he celebrated with a fairy tale feast of imagination. That's it for this time-traveling episode of Unlocking This Day in History. We will catch you next time.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
Here's the top stories in real estate today. Firstly, a new report from the National Association of Realtors suggests home prices may increase by as much as 6% through the end of the year across the nation. This follows a temporary cooling period in the housing market due to rising interest rates. experts say the demand for homes continues to outweigh supply, keeping prices on an upward trajectory. This is good news for sellers, but buyers may feel the pinch as they try to navigate the competitive market. In the Chicagoland area, according to a report from the Chicago Association of Realtors, Cook County is experiencing a surge in luxury home sales. Homes listed at over $1 million are being snapped up quickly, particularly in downtown Chicago and the North Shore suburbs. This trend illustrates the renewed demand for high-end properties as affluent buyers seek larger living spaces and properties with premium amenities. Moving north, a recent analysis by CoreLogic points to a strengthening market in Lake County, Illinois. Residential properties are seeing an average price increase of 5% over the past 3 months. This rise is attributed in part to an influx of new residents attracted by the county's scenic landscapes and quality schools. The increase in demand has also led to a more competitive environment for potential homeowners wishing to secure property in the area. In McHenry County, per a story in the Chicago Tribune, the housing market remains remarkably stable despite national uncertainties. New construction permits have increased by 11% compared to last year. The county's affordability for new home buyers and proximity to Chicago continues to attract families and young professionals. Local realtors anticipate steady growth in the housing market into the next year as infrastructure developments make commuting and living in the area even more convenient. Finally, a global perspective on sustainable real estate practices is taking hold. A new international study highlights that buildings...
Unlocking Lake County.
98.3, The Life.
Welcome to Weird But True in Lake County, where we uncover the most curious tales from right here at home.
Welcome back to Unlocking Lake County with your host, Dick Barr.
Welcome back, Lake County. I'm your host, Dick Barr, here for Unlocking Lake County, here with Christin Kaufman.
Hello, everyone.
And Sly Marinca.
Hello, hello.
And special guest, Ralph LoPriore.
Hello, everybody.
Ralph, can you pronounce your last name for me so I don't screw it up again?
LoPriore.
It is E at the end.
Yeah.
Okay. What, is that French?
Italian.
It's German, I guess. Is it German?
Italian.
Oh, it's Italian.
Oh. You didn't hear him say that?
I thought he said 9. I said, is that French? I thought he said 9. Actually, here, Christin, talk, because I'm going to have to fix the camera for Ralph.
Hello, this is Christin, and I'm talking. Hello.
There we go. Making its way around. Wait.
Oh, no, did it get stuck? Stuck on me?
I think it is.
I mean, manually?
I'll do it.
Ooh, everyone just going to see Sly.
Yeah. Hi, everyone.
Did anyone get to sleep in a little extra late today because of the rainy weather?
I wish.
I got to sleep in because I got way drunk last night.
Oh, no.
Watching the election results.
No, there was that. Did you guys hear that clap of thunder at about 6:45-ish?
I did. I was already up, but yeah.
Yeah, same. That thing. I was waiting for my kids to come running down, but they didn't.
Yeah, I woke my 6-year-old up for school this morning. I'm like, hey, honey, it's time to get up. And she goes, Mom, it's raining outside. You can come back in 5 minutes. Oh, okay.
So now
cool.
you're the snooze on the...
Apparently, I'm the snooze. I'm raising princesses. I love it.
Yep.
You can come back in 5 minutes. Like, apparently that's just some sort of universal truth. Like, it's raining outside, so I'm actually going to sleep longer. This is sleeping weather, mother. And you know what? She's right.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Christin. And I kept the camera on me while I was doing all those changes. I'm so stupid. You know what I got to do? I got to post a bulletin at CLC looking for interns that want to come and learn radio, learn production, learn streaming. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and do that.
Yeah,
but anyway,
that'd be cool.
Without further ado, I want to welcome a friend of mine I've known for a long time. A good guy from Lindenhurst, right?
Lake Villa.
You're Lake Villa.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Okay.
So we met in Lake Villa, though.
We did.
I mean, Lindenhurst. I don't know if you remember.
I thought I met you at the Code.
No. I talked to you after that. I met you in the parade at Lindenhurst.
Oh.
I was up the hill, and I said, you get my vote if you come up the hill and shake my hand. And
that was you.
That was me.
Oh, wow. That was when we were all dressed up. We had the horse and carriage. We had the whole Disney theme. Wow. Oh, I didn't realize that goes that far back.
You climbed the hill.
I climbed the hill. I'm still out of breath from it. Did I get your vote?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
And everybody there.
Awesome. See, it pays to climb the hill. Jack and Jill, that's why they always get elected. Ralph, you're here as a representative for the Butterfly Effect of Maddox J. LoPriore Foundation. So can you tell us a little bit about the foundation?
Well, our 8-year-old son, Maddox, passed away suddenly October 18th, well, technically 15th, 2018, and I wanted to make sure that it wasn't just going to be one of those senseless deaths that nobody remembered, and they looked at us and said, oh, there's that family who lost their kid. So we started a foundation. Started the foundation to be like Maddox, to show the community that we care. And currently, we've donated, can I use that word?
Oh, yeah, you
over
can. Sure.
$200,000 to date. And it's been pretty impactful. I think people talk about it all the time. They say some, really nice things to us. But I just wasn't going to let my sweetheart go and just be dead. That's really what it was about. I'm keeping him alive, right? I have 4 boys, twin, 23, 19, and Maddox. But we say the foundation is Maddox now. So when I say I'm spending time with Maddox, everybody knows I'm spending time on the foundation.
How old would Maddox have been today?
15. He'd be a freshman in high school, which is making it really tough. Talking to all the kids that are freshmen now, what Maddox would probably be playing: football, basketball, soccer, wrestling, who knows? He'd play them all. He was a fantastic athlete at the age of 8.
Now, you say your organization goes out there to be like Maddox. What was Maddox like that made giving the center part of your foundation? I mean, as an 8-year-old, not many 8-year-olds I know very giving, right? A lot of them want.
No.
So tell me how Maddox is different.
In the house, Maddox wanted, right? But outside, Maddox was a charming, funny, honest, loving, caring child. Adults, when they had conversations with him, did not realize they were talking to an 8-year-old. He, at one point at school, gave away his sneakers because the other kids' sneakers didn't fit or they were ripped or something like that. He got in trouble at school for invading people's space because he liked to hug everybody. One time, one of our friends came in, and Maddox had never met him. He was like 2, and he just flew down the hallway and gave the person a hug.
Oh, wow.
Granted, it was in the house, but he was amazing. He helped everybody, was there for everybody. I have a couple notes on the sheets that I gave you guys that anytime Kathleen, my wife, or I would come home, he would ask us how our day was. No, didn't miss anything. Just boom. Hey, Mommy, how was your day? Aww. And that's the thing Kathleen remembers all the time when she walks in that door because the older ones, they don't care. But so he was just amazing. I mean, if you talk to anybody who actually knew him, which we're still hearing stories, just incredible. Yes, he was a pain in the neck at home. Trust me, he was an 8-year-old at home. But aren't all our kids different at home versus outside? And he shared everything. He helped kids on the field. Whereas I can remember one time, I had a family send me a letter after Maddox died and said, because the child was hearing impaired, so we had 2 earbuds in his ear because he couldn't hear. But so I knew that, so I put him on the other side of the field so his parents could tell him what to do because I knew he couldn't hear me. And I'm a big yeller, but he couldn't hear me. So I told Maddox, you have to take care of him. Maddox took care of him on the field. His parents were telling me that Maddox was like, come with me, go over here, do this, in the middle of a game. And I didn't know that.
Wow.
I'm in the middle yelling at my kid for doing something on the field or whatever, making a pass. And here, this kid's over there helping another child handle the game because he was hearing impaired. So there's a ton of stories that people told us afterwards. And part of my message to families and parents was don't miss out on those times. Don't not talk about your children speak to them because there are things that they do that you have no idea whether good or bad. But all these stories that I hear about Maddox, it's incredible.
That's a pretty cool story, too, considering, looking at this list of facts that you have about him, he didn't like to lose and he wanted to be first. So to be able to put that aside to help his teammate, that speaks to his character. He
was a great athlete, and he was better than his brother at 8 than Cooper was at 13. He used to play with Cooper's friends who were in 8th grade at the time because the younger kids weren't as good. So he wanted to be challenged. He got his butt kicked, but he didn't quit. There's another story I want to share. There was a young girl in his class, and they were on the playground. And later on, we find stuff out. But the other girls were making fun of her because she was saying she had a stomach ache or she wouldn't play. And her dad told me, Maddox went over there, put his arm around her, told the other kids to leave her alone, and walked her back in school. She wound up, I don't know if it was weeks or whatever, having cancer.
Whoa.
And it was, my dad told me a story like a year later, and I wish I would have known it that day, But after that, she would go to school and sometimes in a wheelchair and stuff. And Maddox came home one day. He said, "Hey, we're having, we're collecting money, an event for Allie, my best friend."
Oh.
And he went in, and we always let our kids keep their money in their wallets, though we don't let them use it.
Mm-hmm.
He grabbed his wallet and was running out of the house. I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm going to give all my money to Allie."
Oh.
I go, "Maddie, just put your money back. Mom and Dad will donate. You don't have to do that." And he was upset because I wouldn't let him take his money.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, I'm like, I'll do it. I'll take care of it. But at the time, after finding out all this about, Allie and how Maddox treated her and took care of her, it's once again, those stories that they blow you away because you just don't know how good your kids are. And Maddox was incredible. He liked to cheat at Uno.
Don't we all?
There was this young girl who watched an after-school program at his school, and he would always cheat with her, and she'd always call him out, and he'd always get mad. Well, after he died, the impact that he had on her, she got the big Captain America logo on the inside of her arm.
Oh, wow.
It was huge, and she was 19 at the time, and that's going to stay there forever.
Yeah.
So when I saw that, that's another one of like, wow, look at the impact that Maddox had on someone. This young girl puts a huge, Captain America logo on the inside of her arm. It was just, it's incredible. I'm gonna try to hold back on the tears, Dick.
No, and please, if you want me to turn the camera off, you just let me know.
No, I don't mind. I cry in front of everybody.
I imagine that you kind of embrace that, right? Because that's it. I've read once that the presence of grief is just acknowledging the love that was there and is there to this day.
Yeah.
So I imagine that embracing those tears is part of the process.
And I don't hold back. In public, I just I love when people talk about Maddox.
Yeah.
I ask people. When I could see in their eyes that they're avoiding, contact because something about Maddox came up, and I'm like, guys, he's still here.
Right, it's uncomfortable, but stay with us.
Yeah, just talk about it. You're not hurting our feelings. You're not actually hurting our feelings because you won't talk about him.
Yeah,
it's okay. Yes, it hurts. I don't want you to feel this hurt ever, but it's okay. Let's just get it out. I'll hear another story. Yeah. I'll wind up getting another story from him about him if they would just talk about him.
Yeah.
Now, I find fascinating that so far the language, Ralph, I hear that you use very specific language when you refer to Maddox's death. You've used the word dead. You used the word die. And I know when most of us talk about the passing of people, we use euphemisms because that language sounds so final. You seem to have accepted that as a reality, and you're not afraid to use those terms. My folks lost my sister when she was much older than Maddox. She was 35, and I saw what they went through. So much to the point where they were done. They were done living after she died. Here, you've got this foundation where you relive your son's life every day. Mm-hmm. How difficult is that?
I always tell people, don't look behind the curtain. Mm. You know, how are you today, Ralph? I'm fine. I'm good. I'll tell stories. How are you doing? You know, and my good friends, I could say, just don't look behind the curtain. You don't want to see me by myself. You don't want to see what I go through, the crying and the curling up. I hide it now from my family too, because I don't want them to feel bad for me. They know, you know, they have their own pain. So Maddox is here. Like, he's here with me. He's here with his mom and his brothers. I truly believe that, but he's gone. You know, he's physically not here. Mm. You know, he did die.
Right, so using that soft language doesn't change that for you. No. Yeah, I completely understand that.
It's. I mean, I hated to use those words when he first. You know, I didn't get out of bed for a year and a half.
Sure.
Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I started the foundation, but it's the only thing I can do.
Yeah.
I couldn't function. I mean, my kids, they understood. You know, hey, Daddy's sleeping again, or Daddy, whatever. But after a while, I just said, you know, Ralph, you got this foundation. You got these 3 other boys. You have your wife. You can still have Maddox. You can still cry. You can still talk about him, but you got to get out of bed. And I did. And to this day, I won't stop. I won't stop talking about him. I won't stop with my foundation.
Let's talk about the foundation. What does the foundation give you that makes it worth getting up every morning and working with Maddox?
It's what Maddox would do. Maddox helped people. Maddox cared about people. Maddox worried about people. And when I think about crashing, I think about, well, the people that we're helping in Maddox's name won't have that help. And as minimal as it is, and we know money doesn't fix, you know, people who pass away, though we donate to them to take care of bills, buy dinners. You know, we all know those kind of situations, the kids who get scholarships, the feeding families, the emergency assistance, someone's house broke down or someone got really sick, they lost their job. You know, I hear about these things and we write them a letter and we write them a check, and it feels good knowing that, you know, I put it to Maddox wanted to give his wallet to the school for his friend Allie. So it feels good to do those things. It really does, because I know Maddox would do it. So why not continue doing it? And I don't ever, you know, only a couple people have responded and said thank you and stuff, and it's very difficult to hear the thank you because I'm not looking for thank yous.
Right.
I just want to know that it helped. That's all. Other people tell me it helped. Other people will tell me, hey, so-and-so, you know, they're afraid to say thank you. And I said, it's okay. They don't have to feel this kind of guilt, because at the beginning people felt guilty. Oh, you're giving me, you know, you gave us money because your son died. Well, yes, we started the foundation because he died.
That's true.
But it's because he would have helped.
Yeah.
So that's what we, you know, I always say because my wife likes to say in the background. You know, she'll do the paperwork, she'll type up the letters, she'll make the baskets, but she can't be where I am. She can't handle it. This is how I deal with it. Because if I held it in, I wouldn't be here. You know, there were times where I'm gonna drive over the train tracks, or I'm gonna go up to that building, and I had those thoughts. I was going through therapy, but I had those thoughts.
Of course.
And I said, well, I'd be with Maddox. Yeah, that'd be fantastic. And then I go, but I wouldn't be with AJ, Zach, and Cooper, and Kathleen.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And it wouldn't be helping the people that we help.
Yeah.
So it's I'm not a hero, right? People are like, oh, I know we're doing great things. I never say it besides right here publicly. I've never said. I always say great things for a cursing reason.
Right.
Starts with S, ends in Y. I can say that, right?
You can say that. You come back after 10 o'clock, we can say all the words that you can't say during the day.
Well, and I can understand why it may feel uncomfortable to hear that thank you, because correct me if I'm wrong, but I imagine that you're sitting there like, but I'm doing this for me too, though. This is my coping mechanism. So yes, it's great that there's a good thing coming from this, but this is just as much for me as it is for you. Please don't thank me. I'm getting something out of this already.
It does. Yeah. It does feel good. I actually had a lady come over to the house to pay for a couple sweatshirts that she bought. And we're in the driveway, and she says, oh, my God, I'm trying to figure out how to – it just happened. I asked her, who are they for? What do your kids do? She said, oh, we're trying to figure out how to pay for so-and-so's football or whatever the sport was, because our house just burned down last month. I'm like, all right, nobody told me that. And those are the kind of things we do to help. So I went inside. I wrote her a check. I brought it out to her, put it in an envelope, and I said, here, this is what we are for. So when people come to me and tell me these stories, if there's money in the bank, we're gonna donate.
Yeah.
And she didn't know the amount that was on it, and I know it made her day, because I know now her kids are going to play those sports that they wouldn't be able to, because the family didn't literally have anything.
Yeah.
Right? No clothes. Whatever they had was on their back or in their car or in the hotel, wherever they were. So it's those kind of situations that you look at and go, I can help. We can help. The foundation can help. Let's do it.
And that is exactly, it's acting exactly in line with how you already described your son, running in, grabbing your wallet, and just handing it right to them. That's exactly the same thing. Yeah.
What type of scholarships, Ralph, go out to the kids? We
give away 6 scholarships to high school kids and 2 scholarships to the Catholic school incoming third graders. So it's a male and female from Antioch, Lakes, and Grays Lake North. We just added Grays Lake North 2 years ago. We honestly, I swear on Maddox, we are trying to move it out. I'm looking at our school district, like Grant and Round Lake, all those schools, and I'm trying to figure out how can we get more money to give 2 scholarships to those schools, right? But like I said, we added Grays Lake 2 years ago. So it's total of 8 scholarships every year, no matter what. It's $1,000. They can use it. The school's like, well, we should. I'm like, it's the money for the child. It's not the money for the parents. It's the money because the essay that they wrote hit us where we needed to see. They are going to be like Maddox. Just in words, we're talking about high school seniors here. And there have been a couple of parents that, have sent me pictures of, oh, yeah, my son still has his certificate on his wall at college, and he's doing great things. This kid's doing great things, donation, and he works with all the foundations at his college. I think he graduated this year. Yeah, he's graduated there. Wound up that I didn't know when I handed it to him that I coached him in lacrosse when he was Maddox's age. So it's one of those full circle kind of things when we read these essays and we choose the kids and we give it to them on stage, and you see that you chose the right person just by their words, because of the way they look at you or the way they hug you and the things that they say afterwards. So
you're not just being Maddox, you're creating more Maddoxes.
Yeah, that's pretty cool way to say it. We want those people who get our scholarships to do and be like Maddox, so they can share, to the older, the next generation. Hey, I don't want to tell people, hey, I'm doing this because, I got a scholarship from this kid who died and the family gave it.
Right.
No, we're looking for them to have the inside to do it. And these essays come across, and, some essays you can see they're like, they just write them, and, you said 500 words, 8 sentences. I did this and I did that, and I really love my family and whatever. But every scholarship we've given away, those essays have hit us right where they need to. And when you meet those kids and you see, oh my God, and I've given scholarships. We have given scholarships away because we don't know their names. We don't know them. We know their grades.
No, nope. These are blind.
These are they have to go to school, and they have to have played a sport in high school. It doesn't have to be 4 sports; it should be a sport, because Maddox was an athlete, right? I needed to package that up. Yeah. So I'm not trying to say, other kids don't deserve it, because they do, but we needed to be specific, or I'd get 7,000 scholarships for a school.
Of course, and you wanted to personalize it, I assume, and connect it to Maddox.
Yeah, and then I look at these kids and they come up, and when we find out their names, I'm like, oh my God, I know them. And 3 of them I coached when they were younger. And I'm like, wow, okay, it works. It works. Reading this stuff and thinking about it and kicking around, and when you find out and you look at these kids, you're like, one of the girls from Lakes was the sister of the brother of the child in the soccer team. And that was cool. You're like, okay, there's a serious connection right there.
No coincidences.
No, we don't know. We don't know their names, and the people that mention names in a scholarship. I mean, in the essay, they throw out adult names. I don't. I make people cry when I talk about Maddox and the foundation, but those don't make me cry. They're not getting the essence of who he was. I tell them to read the website, ask people, about Maddox, learn about it, then write your essay, and correlate it to what you do in your life. So
we are going to take a quick break. Before we do, what's the process if someone wanted to apply? Are you willing to share a link where they can go to apply for one of your scholarships?
The scholarships are connected to the schools. They go through there's a, the schools all have those application processes. There are scholarships in that packet. We thought about putting it out publicly.
It'd be too much.
Yeah.
The amount of things that we would have to go through, and then the legalities of people saying, why didn't I get it, or why didn't I get it?
Yeah.
And then you're opening ourselves up to Pandora's box. So we make it specific to schools when it comes to the scholarships.
Is it a nomination process, or can anyone aware of it contact the school?
No, they got to be seniors at that school.
Okay.
Seniors at Lakes, Antioch, or Grace Lake.
But they can voluntarily go to their, let's say, guidance counselor and say, hey, I would like to apply for the Butterfly Effect Scholarship.
The schools have these links in there that list all the scholarships that are being offered to all seniors. And you can write an essay to every single one of them. And some kids do. And I'm really mad at my kids that they were not on there writing letters. I'm like, should I start writing these letters for them? I'm like, no, that's not right.
Maddox would have written it for him.
Maddox would have wrote something. But yeah, so it's connected to the high schools. It's connected to the seniors. And I talked to all the guidance counselor people, and they put it out on their website, and the kids apply, and then the school gives us those essays, and we read them and we choose. Which reminds me, I got them in my email box. I need to choose people. I just got them. I'm like, oh my God. But yeah, and those 2 third graders, that incoming third graders, they are chosen by the school, the teachers, and the principal.
Oh. So you don't make the selection?
The first year we did, based off listening to the teachers, and we listed things out that we want the child to be. And then I'm like, you know what? That's a lot of work for the teachers. So they know to pay attention to every second grader and watch their behavior and nominate the 2. It's not boy and girl. It's 2 second graders, because there's 2 classes. Nominate the 2 people that you want to give the scholarship to, and we give it because I trust those teachers. It's a Catholic school, and when I meet those kids and their families, it's spot on. I don't know. It's just spot on of the type of child that was chosen by the school is the type of child that Maddox was.
I know this is hard. I want to thank you for being here. I hope you could stay with us for the rest of the show, because I got a lot more questions.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr will return in just a few moments after these important messages. Don't touch that dial.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
You guys have a great radio station. You just play the best music.
It's time for the weather.
This weather update is brought to you by Fidelity National Title Insurance Company. Fasten your seatbelt for a lively afternoon with showers and thunderstorms stealing the show until 4 p.m. The clouds are hanging around, and we've got a south-southeast wind at a spirited 15 to 20 miles per hour. Gusts soaring to 40. Chance of wet, 80%. Tonight, things calm down with just a whisper of rain and partly cloudy skies. Overnight winds from the southwest peaking at 35 miles per hour. Thursday steps in with sunshine and highs near 55, so grab those sunglasses and soak it in.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County.
Unlocking Lake County
With Dick Barr. 98.3, The Life.
It's time for Unlocking This Day in History, brought to you by Harder & Shotland Law Firm in Round Lake Beach. Let's take a quick trip back in time to what happened today in history. First stop, 1979. April 2nd, 1979 was the day that the world's most ambitious building project since the Tower of Babel was unveiled. It was the debut of the Space Shuttle. America's first reusable spacecraft, Columbia, took her place on the launch pad for testing. It was all systems go for the space program, bidding farewell to cardboard rockets and streamers for good. Well, kind of. Spoiler alert, she launched a year later. But hey, good things come to those who wait. Now, fasten your seatbelts as we pop back further to 1902. On this day, the electrifying marvel, the Electric Theater, opened its doors in the shining city of Los Angeles. It was the first full-time movie theater in the good old US of A. Nickelodeons were jealous, buttered popcorn was in demand, and anyone with a taste for moving pictures was already hooked. Hollywood, your move, and what a move it was. Zap. Let's fly over to the ancient skies of 1801. On April 2nd, a young apprentice named Ludwig van Beethoven had his public debut in Vienna. The crowd clapped very loudly, or at least as loud as polite decorum allowed in those days. His first symphony made quite the sound waves, setting the stage for late-night radios everywhere to eventually say, and that was Beethoven. A big round of applause for these historic figures and their days that will live in infamy, or at least nifty trivia, for ages to come. We will catch you next time.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
Here's the top stories in real estate today. According to a recent report from the Chicago Association of Realtors, the Chicagoland area is experiencing a shift in the real estate market. As interest rates continue to rise, April 2nd, 1979 was the day that the world's most ambitious building project since the Tower of Babel was unveiled. It was the debut of the Space Shuttle, America's first reusable spacecraft.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
Your favorite show right here on 98.3 FM.
98.3, The Life.
Welcome to Weird But True in Lake County, where we uncover the strange and unbelievable stories hidden in our own backyard. Did you know that Lake County is home to a stunning natural wonder that once stumped scientists?
Welcome back to Unlocking Lake County with your host, Dick Barr.
You want water? You want water now?
Welcome back, Lake County. This is Dick Barr here with Unlocking Lake County, here with Christin Kaufman.
Hello, friends.
Sly Marinca, the Sly Marinca team at CrossCountry Mortgage.
Hello, hello.
And our special guest in studio, Ralph LoPriore of the Butterfly Effect of Maddox J. LoPriore. So I got to figure out the timing. So all that automation that we run in the break, the timing is off. So what happens? It winds up downloading nude sound bits while they're playing, and then it winds up cutting them off. So we didn't get to hear any mysteries of Lake County today. We didn't hear any made-up stories of Loch Ness monsters in the Volo Bog. So we'll work on that timing. So we'll make that 4 technical glitches today.
Where is that story? It's a mystery.
Way short of the 15 I allow myself every day. But that will get better if we ever get an intern who wants to come in and learn all about radio broadcast and production and video and transmission.
I bet you that list gets longer when they come in.
I think you're right.
Maybe.
So for the past half hour, we've been having a great conversation with Ralph, and it can't be easy, Ralph, reliving this, talking about this, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on and sharing that pain with us. There's a lot of people out there watching, listening, who have gone through and they don't know how to cope.
Right.
You had mentioned that you went through, what do you call it, therapy, and it took a long time. For the folks listening who have experienced this, what were the most impactful happenings in your life or recommendations from professionals or friends that helped you get over that hump of losing your son?
Well, one thing everyone had said, go to group therapy. And we went to family group therapy, and that worked. Like the kids and, the therapist, like, I need my kids to be present. We watch, we do everything together. But group therapy wasn't for me, and it was only because it's my pain, and everybody in that room would have the same pain, and you're sharing the same thing. My child died.
Right.
And though it's not the same pain, it really is. So I didn't want to go to group therapy. I went to individual therapy, and the things that I went through, that I fought with guilt. It's my fault. You're the dad. You take care of your family. You're not supposed to let your child die. I had to fight through that. I had to eventually understand that it wasn't my fault.
Mm-hmm.
I can say that out loud, but in my head, it was my fault.
Sure.
I couldn't even say it out loud. And all those things, I didn't have a really good childhood. And those things came into the therapy about, the parenting, right? My parents weren't good parents. I'll just admit it. No one, my family knows it. My friends know it.
Are they listening?
They know it now.
New York and Colorado, I got to get this one. But no,
they probably know. They were there too.
And it was dealing with that, right? You didn't have it, so it was more guilt on top of that. You didn't have what you're giving your family, and now you can't give it. You can't give it to him. It's gone. He's gone. So I had to fight through that. It was really just admitting Maddox is dead.
You say, let my son die, and you guilted yourself with that. Did you know he was going to die?
We realized it after Maddox died that he knew it. He had gotten sick on Saturday. He was just dehydrated, so we were feeding him. He's throwing up, feeding him, and then he was fine. Then he went to school. Sunday was fine. He tried out for the 5th grade basketball team as a 3rd grader, and he made the team.
Oh.
And I'm glad I was able to tell him, because on Monday when I went to work and my wife called and I said, put Maddox on the FaceTime, and he's like, Daddy, my head hurts. I said, okay, buddy. Mom's going to give you some water. You're going to get something to eat. I'm going to get on the train, and, we're going to check this out. The worst hour and a half of up to that point, the worst hour and a half of my life. And we got home, and Kathleen's like, he's fine. And I'm like, I'm the big worrier in my family, right? Our twins got type 1 when they were 4. So I panic about everything. Anything from an illness, I panic because of that.
Yeah.
And Kathleen was always like, he's fine, he's okay. And he looked okay, but I just wasn't comfortable with it. So I just raced him to the doctor, to the hospital here in Grays Lake, the Northwestern hospital. And my other son, one of the twin, came with me, and he's sitting in the back car with Maddox, and then Maddox just starts making these noises. And I run him in, I put him on the counter, and I give them the situation, and the lady says, oh, go sit down. I used a couple words.
Can you say them on the radio?
Absolutely not, or you get in trouble. A nurse came flying around, opened the door, grabbed him, and brought him into the ER. She didn't say a word. Maybe she had something in her life like that. I don't know. I didn't ever get a chance to ask her, but she knew.
Mm-hmm.
So they lay him down, and they're putting all that stuff in him, and they're talking to him, and the nurse says, hey, Maddox, what's your favorite sport? And me thinking he's going to say basketball. Because as an 8-year-old, he was shooting regular threes from regulation distance with the big ball. So I'm thinking, He says soccer. I look at him. I go, really? And he looks at me right in the eye, smiles, and said, yep, and closed his eyes. Gone. But the night before, he wanted to lay on our floor, go to sleep on our floor in our bedroom. And we're laying there, Kathleen and myself, and I hear him speaking, but I can't because I'm falling asleep. And Kathleen told me what he said. Hey, Mommy, I just want you to know that you are the best mommy in the world.
No.
And then she told me, can I wake up Daddy? And my family knows, don't wake me up because I'll jump out of, it's not like I don't want them to wake me up. It's just, I get so scared. I jump out of my skin. And he comes around and he says, Daddy, I just want you to know that you're the best daddy in the world. And the next day he was gone.
Wow.
And there's other stories that people tell you about that they realize that he was, they always say he was an old soul.
Yeah.
And when you think back to all those things about adults saying they're talking to an adult, and the things that he did as a 7 and 8-year-old aren't done by 8-year-olds. And Kathleen and I, when he was going in third grade, you go to those parent, teacher in the room, and the teacher tells you how everything's going to go, blah, blah, blah. And we're going through his desk, and we're going through his book, and we flip through his notebook, and like 70 pages in, there's a picture of, a little boy and 2 adults holding hands. And it says, Mommy and Daddy, I love you. Don't forget.
Oh.
And we think nothing of it, right? At the time, you're like, oh, this is so cute. He was doodling. Then you look back and go,
yeah.
And right? You don't like, oh, my kid's gonna die, right? It's just not, the top 12 million things on your mind at the time.
Yeah.
And there were just other things that people said that then Kathleen and I would talk about. Like, remember when Maddox did this? And we're like, oh my God, and there's a dozen or so things like that, and so I knew he knew.
Wow.
That he was only here for a short time, and all the great things that he did.
He made it count.
Yeah.
He really did, and I don't know if I'd like to tell this story. I didn't believe in it at the time, right? Afterlife, where do they go? Where's their body, right? Their body's in the ground or, ashes, but, that soul piece. And so I went to a medium, and I said, I hear all the people talk about this stuff, and I'm like, I don't know. Well, I went back to New York to go to one because I didn't know if anyone would know around here. I took off all my gear, my hat, my wristbands, everything, so they wouldn't be able to see.
Of course.
And the first time we go, this lady is saying, I see a little boy, 8 to 9. He had blonde hair, and he's got a blue shirt on, a Captain America shirt. And he's trying to tell me something. He's saying, and she's struggling because I'm not talking. He's trying to say, Daddy, it's okay. I knew it was my time. Wow. I was here on Earth to make you a better person. That was my job. Now, my job now is to help little kids cross over.
Ugh.
Now, that doesn't happen in that conversation, right? It took a little bit longer for her to pull.
Of course.
She didn't speak that whole entire time. And whether I wanted to believe it or not, how do you know an 8 to 9-year-old with a blue shirt, Captain America, says to you, I knew I was going, and we figured that out. I came here to make, I was on earth to make you a better person. And I think he did. Well, I know he did, because I'm not saying I was a bad person. I'm just saying I was a jerk. Spade to spade, right? And went back again, and the day before we were supposed to get brand new tires on my car. And they didn't come to Firestone. The guy calls, hey, can you come in tomorrow? And I said, no, I'm going to be on a plane, going to New York, see some friends. And the whole idea was to go back and speak to this lady. Sit down, we do our thing, and she says, he's trying to talk, she's struggling, and he's trying to tell me something about your car. Daddy, don't forget to get the tires. So we're 2 for 2, and it just confirms he's here.
Yeah.
He did what he said he was supposed to do, and he left.
Absolutely.
And now I need to do what he taught me to do for other people. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, that's a beautiful story. Perfect. I love that story. Ralph, thank you so much for sharing it.
So I don't talk about my spirituality very much at all. I don't talk about my faith. But from a young age, I've always wondered, and this wasn't born from any dogma or anything I've ever read, but I've always wondered, if you look throughout history, we see prodigies of something, prodigies of science, prodigies of music, prodigies of compassion, prodigies of empathy, right? Just these what you just referred to as old souls. And we look at Mozart. By 6, he was writing and playing concerto, full concerts. And I always wondered, how does a human being exposed to all the exact same things of other human beings come into this world with that level of proficiency in whatever it is they excel at? It sounds like Maddox has that kind of that compassion and empathy and giving, And I put together this idea that our souls they do have an age. And our souls come into this world. They experience what they experience. And when they've stopped growing that experience from what they can provide, that life, they know it's time to go. And then I like to believe that necessarily they don't particularly come back, but they're there guiding the next soul that comes down. And that's the only way I could ever put together the idea that someone can be born in this world so far above what other people experience or are what good at. And everything you just said helps confirm it for me that I don't think I'm far off.
You're not. Honestly, Maddox was a gift. I was supposed to get 3 of those V's at the time. We all know what that is. And schedules I had to cancel. There's just stuff just happened. And lo and behold, my wife says, I messed up on the math. We're pregnant. And right there, I'm like, well, I thought about it then. Like he was supposed to be. He was supposed to be. I was not supposed to go where I went until he came here. It's all those. It's all those things that make me know he's here, and that he is an old soul. And I hope he's passing it on. Like I said, she said he's bringing other children, younger children across. And though I have a problem with God, because as much as everyone says God needed Maddox, and he's doing what he was supposed to do, I need Maddox.
Right, you're like, that's cool. We got beef. We're not friends right now. Yeah, I hear that.
I got an issue, and I'm trying to work myself back, but that one's going to take a long time.
Sure, of course.
I would rather have him right now than him helping other people that I don't even know that are not here anymore.
But look at the gift of the world. the gift to the world, and we talk about, and anyone of faith has that conversation of what's good for me versus what's good for humanity, and look at the gift that he continues to give through you to not just local schools. You're trying to expand that and make that, and you being willing to come on and have this conversation with thousands more people to introduce Maddox to the world and give that pay it forward. There's something there that's useful.
And I can see it in your face right now thinking, that's cool. I'd trade it all in a second.
Behind the scenes, right?
Yeah,
behind the curtain. Behind the curtains, I'm selfish. What I just mentioned.
You're allowed to be.
Of course. Selfish, but the stuff he's doing and the stuff we're doing, just exponential.
Hey, listen, we don't do this often. I'm not done. We're running out. We've only got a few minutes left. Guys, if you want to take off, I know you got busy schedules. I want to keep the show running. Ralph, are you able to sit down and keep talking?
I got all the time in the world to talk about Maddox and the foundation.
And Christin and Sly, feel free. I get it completely, but you're welcome to stick around and stay. I'd like to delve more. I know Christin asked a question in the break that, Christin, if you don't mind, I'd like you to ask the question you asked about the name.
Oh, of course, Ralph. Yeah, do you want to explain to us where the name Butterfly Effect comes from? Why you guys chose that?
I was filling all this paperwork out, right, for the government to get our 501c. And the one thing I didn't have was a name.
It's a lot of pressure on choosing a name.
Because it's forever.
Exactly.
Right? Go, oh, yeah, we changed our name from Maddox to whatever. And I'm thinking, and my sister calls me out of the blue. Doesn't know that I'm doing paperwork at that time. And says, I got a great name for the foundation. I go, shoot, because I got nothing. I got names all over the place, and they're just not standing out. She says, what do you think about the butterfly effect of Maddox LoPriore? And, the whole, there's movies about the butterfly, but you think about the butterfly and the way it flutters and the way it makes people happy and how stuff comes around. And I'm like, boom.
Yeah.
And once again, the timing, right? I'm doing the paperwork. I'm struggling. She calls me out of the blue and says this. I'm like, done deal.
It really is a perfect name if you think about it. I mean, even the theme of the show, right? You've been telling us all these little stories, all these little moments where Maddox made a huge impact on other people's lives from these little gestures, these little acts of kindness. He was in and of himself a butterfly effect. So I completely get that. I love that.
We see butterflies all show up.
Oh,
they show up in at the weirdest times in the weirdest places.
Yeah.
We were at the school put a tree out for Maddox, a sign, and because that was his third grade class, and so we were out there doing the presentation, and everybody left, and I'm standing there, and out from the woods comes a butterfly. No more words. I won't use those. What are you doing here? Is this you? Flutter. Move your wings, because it was just flying. I said, close your wings and open your wings. And it did. I said, come here to me. And it flew up to me. And then I said, get the hell out of here. I got you. I can't do this. And they just show up. Pennies show up. Like my son and I went to church. We had to. And we got out of the car, and we knew what was going on. We get back in the car, and there's a penny sitting on Cooper's seat. He goes, Dad, did you put this here? I'm like, dude, I did not put anything on your seat. And that kind of stuff just lets me know it comes at the time when Kathleen and I need it the most. We need to know you're there. You need to remind us. And at times it's happened where we're not arguing, but it's like, we got you, Maddox. And we base that off a time where, I don't know how many kids people have, but, our kids were, 4 of them, 4 boys, and we had to take them to church, right? So Kathleen and I get in this stupid argument. I don't know what it was about. Probably I don't want to go, or I don't want to wear a collared shirt, whatever it could be about going to church. And so we're arguing, you guys all gone through it. So we're sit down. It's Kathleen, Maddox, myself, and the other 3 boys. And we're not talking, we're just sitting there. Maddox reaches over with his left hand and grabs Kathleen's hand. He reaches over with his right hand and grabs my hand and puts them both together on his lap. And we just looked at each other and went, I'm sorry. Like, you think back, you're like, oh my God, we wouldn't have done that, right? We might have done it hours later. Mm-hmm. He knew. His knew. He just, and so you factor all these things together and you're like, he knew.
Wow.
And he's here. He comes the times that, it's the weirdest thing. A song will come on. Like our family's, well, me and the boys' family song was Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. And I had gotten in a fight with the principal at his school about something that wasn't stupid, but I won't talk about. And I would put that song on as we pulled into the parking lot. And I would roll the windows down, and the boys, there's 3 of them, and Maddox is in the middle, have their hand outside banging the car, and that song blaring all the way through drop-off line. I didn't turn it down, and we're singing. All of us are singing. We go park. The music goes off. I walk all my boys to the door, which I've always done their whole entire lives when we drop them off at school. And the principal is just, if looks could kill, let's just say that. And we did it every time. Well, that song comes on at times when we're in the car and once again, family stuff. And it comes on. We're like, thanks, Matt. Needed that. We needed that come together, that reminder that, it's could be over. Like that kind of thought, like, hey, stop. Mm-hmm. Stop it. Just enjoy each other. And so it's and Kathleen takes pictures on her Sirius radio and she sends it to me. She goes, this just played. But before that, I was thinking about Maddox and I was crying. And then this song comes up for her. And so he's here. But he just can't be here all the time. But he comes when we need it. So I have to live. I have to bottle that. I have to keep that in a jar and put little holes in it, like you did with those fireflies. And because they die, right? What's their lifespan on a firefly? And I have to keep them in there to remember those times when I need them most. I can look back, and then the time happens. And that's the stuff that keeps us going. It keeps me going.
Wow.
We have a job to do. We have a community to, I wouldn't say change, especially now this day and age. We need people to, feel the love. Even if you got to feed off this little kid who was here and now's gone. We got to share. We got to make people know that you got to say I love you. You got to give a hug. You got to do nice things. You got to hold the door. You got to open the door. You got to pick up garbage when no one's looking. You got to be a good person. You got to set an example. And those are the kind of things that we preach when when I take on those, the teams and we do community service events together. That's the kind of stuff that we are hoping, besides the money part. That's the kind of stuff that we're hoping that we can get through to people is just be a good person.
Wow.
Just be a good person. And it's, so, and there's so much more. Hey, I don't know if you guys drive in Lake Villa, but from Sand Lake 45 to Sand Lake Grand is the Maddox Butterfly Foundation Road.
Oh, okay.
There's a sign at each, going each way. So, and we do cleanup twice a year. We just did cleanup last weekend. We cleaned up both sides of the road. So that's a community service that we do give back, and we get people to come out. And I forgot this.
I saw your post.
I felt like such an idiot because I'm doing it, and I thought I was going to have my boys, and Kathleen wasn't feeling well. She was sick. I'm like, you got to pass here. You got to pass. Stay in bed. And this other family that I asked, and him and his 2 kids, because his wife and the other kid couldn't make it. We showed up. There's 20 people there.
Oh, you're kidding. And you weren't even rallying the troops.
I didn't know most of them.
Wow.
It was, there were, I didn't either know the kids, and there was a couple parents I didn't know. And I was just like, as I'm walking, I'm looking at this and I'm crying. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. Look at this. As small as it might be to somebody else, and as crazy it is to those people driving like maniacs while we have people on the side of the road, people came out to do this. Thank God it was nice, because we've done it in the rain before. But not one, when we did it in the rain, not one kid complained. Not one kid whined. We were soaking wet, and we got to the restaurant, and they were all smiling and having a good time. Nobody, like, imagine you got 12, 13, 12, I don't know, 11, 12, I don't know what age they were, I can't remember, cleaning up a road in the pouring rain. Now imagine you asking your child, hey, let's go clean up the basement in a dry weather, and guess what kind of grief you get? We got all these people outside cleaning a road. So one step at a time, baby steps.
Beautiful.
Ralph, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come down and going to ask a little bit more about the foundation and ways, people who want to get involved, opportunities they have. So thanks for being willing to stick around for a little bit. So this one's going to be a short break, folks. Just do our station ID. No real estate news, but I do want the mysteries to play. I really got to see what they came up with this time. So we'll be right back. Thanks.
Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr will return in just a few moments after these important messages. Don't touch that dial.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
Unlocking Lake County.
98.3, The Life.
It's the best station on the radio.
It's time for the weather.
This weather update is brought to you by Fidelity National Title Insurance Company. Ready your umbrellas this afternoon, folks. Showers and thunderstorms are on the docket until we hit 4 p.m., with some lingering showers past that. Winds are steady from the south-southeast at 15 to 20 miles.
Zion, Illinois was the site of an unusual zoo.
This is Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
Hey there, folks. Welcome to today's segment of Weird But True in Lake County, where we end as rents continue to rise and housing affordability remains a challenge for many prospective homebuyers. According to a report from the National Association of Realtors, the multifamily sector is booming despite interest rate hikes, as more individuals turn to renting amid the economic climate. The rise in demand is also fueled by the growing need for more flexible living arrangements among millennials and Generation Z. In Cook County, there has been a significant push towards sustainable and green building practices. The local government has introduced new incentives for developers who incorporate energy-efficient designs and environmentally friendly materials in their projects. This initiative aims to promote more eco-conscious real estate developments and could lead to a healthier, more sustainable urban environment. Lake County is experiencing a fluctuation in its housing market. Per a story in the Daily Herald, the area has seen a mix of rising home prices and slowed sales, which has surprised many realtors. Analysts attribute the slowdown in sales to potential buyers being hesitant amidst economic uncertainty and fluctuating interest rates. However, for sellers, the current market presents an opportunity to capitalize on the high property prices. McHenry County is witnessing a trend of urban revamping. Local authorities have launched plans to rejuvenate historic districts by renovating old buildings and attracting new businesses. This effort, per McHenry County News, is part of a broader initiative to boost local tourism and economy by preserving the unique architectural heritage.
Welcome back to Unlocking Lake County with your host, Dick Barr.
Welcome Welcome back, Lake County. This is Dick Barr here with a special extended feature for Unlocking Lake County. We've got in the studio today Ralph LoPriore from the Butterfly Effect of Maddox J. LoPriore Foundation. It's been probably, I think, the best episode we've ever had. Ralph, you're an amazing guest. I want to thank you for coming and basically exposing your raw, open soul for the listeners. I want to. I've got so many more questions, and I want to know more about the foundation. So thanks for agreeing to stick around.
Thank you.
Anyone still listening, thank you for listening and watching. So, Ralph, it's been an emotional episode, that's for sure. But let's get into a little bit about back to the foundation. I know you do the golf outing every year. You still do that?
Yeah, we'll have our 7th one coming up on September 20th.
The 7th one. Oh, wow. And I'm always amazed at just how many golfers you get.
It's, it's funny that the first year we had it, I was panicked, as always. I'm panicked every event. Doesn't matter how many people sign up. People are like, if you get 80 people, you get 80 people. That's cool. And I said, 80 people? We're getting 100. So I went to the owner of the golf course, and he, first one, doesn't, did research. But he's like, if I get 100 people, I get a discount, right? He's like, yeah, sure. Get 125 people. I went to him, I go, hey, remember the conversation we had on this day, discount? He's like, I said that? I'm like, I have it written down right here. This is what Dave said. So he started laughing. I got the discount. But we have sold out every year since. Wow. We were at 144, but we've added a bunch of fun play holes we added a chipping area into a toilet, and we added a putt for alcohol and on the putting green. So we are allowed to get 160 people.
Oh, wow.
Last year, so every year it's been up to the wire. Last year we sold out August 8th.
Really?
Yeah.
And you doubled up on every tee box?
Yeah.
Do you know how many golf outings that I've been to where they were lucky to get 5 foursomes?
I could believe it. I can't play golf anymore, so I go to one event a year, mine. That we donate to different organizations that have them. But yeah, it's been overwhelming, and it's not the same golfers every year. About 60-70% of the people are new.
Really?
And yeah, you see my email list. It's it's huge, and we get people from Colorado, Texas, Maryland, Ohio, Virginia, and New York.
Whoa!
And Georgia.
How are they finding out?
Those people around are friends, right? I used to live in New York, and my sister's in Colorado, and all my friends back east, and people disseminate across the country. How do they find out? We use Facebook, the event, Instagram, and we use the website if we can. It's weird, right? You didn't have all these other ways. You had flyers, right? You can remember the days of flyers.
Oh yeah.
So we have our website is a place that people learn about it, and you can go there and you can read about the events and stuff like that. Can I give the address?
Yeah. So, if someone wants to learn more about the about the foundation, what's the name? What's the website?
It's butterflyeffectmaddox.org.
Can you spell Maddox for everybody?
MADDOX.
So it's butterflyeffectmaddox.org. Okay.
And it's funny, when we first, came out with his name, everyone was like, "Oh, you named him after Greg Maddox." I go, "Are you reading the name OX?" I had to clear.
Right.
And Maddox would always correct people and say Maddox. He goes, "It's Maddox." Maddox.
You said you're from New York. Where from?
Putnam County. I was born in Brooklyn, and we moved up to Putnam County, which is about an hour. It's the same distance from Lake Villa to Chicago that I grew up in New York. And I moved away when I was 30 because I said, I got to go.
Did you meet Kathleen here or there?
Oh, Kathleen used to live here in Libertyville. Her parents moved to Connecticut for her father's job, but she stayed here in Libertyville to graduate high school with friends. Went to IU, went home to her parents. She wound up getting a job at the same company. And it's all, is downhill good? Right? It's not uphill, so it's all downhill from there.
All downhill is good, yes. That's where you want it to be, downhill.
Okay. Yeah, all downhill from there.
Well, I've heard it actually, depending on the simile you're using, it could be,
Well, that's why
it's all downhill from
I
here.
want to make sure I got it right. So,
but if you're on a bike, yes, you want downhill.
There you go. Yes, it's been an awesome. It's been awesome. She's fabulous. Boys are fantastic.
I'm reluctant to ask this, and listen, we already had this conversation that as far as I'm going to ask some stuff. If you're not comfortable answering anything, just please don't. Sure. Right? I don't want to.
There's nothing you can't ask.
We all know that the success rate of relationships and marriages after the death of a child is abysmally low. How have you and Kathleen survived? And I can move on.
No. It's okay. It's okay. It wasn't tough. I mean, it wasn't. It was tough, but we had 3 other boys, and quite honestly, we needed each other. He is our son, and we had our fights about why aren't you openly mourning? You don't care, but everybody, as I learned, mourns differently.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize that. I thought you should mourn outwardly, right? You should let everybody know you care because, crying is caring. And I learned that not the same, but we knew we needed each other to get through it. And I obviously probably needed her more than she needed me. And she's an amazing woman, and people talk about that all the time. How did you do it? It reminds me of time when the twins got diagnosed with type 1 and, were doing stuff, they're taking their insulin, and then people go, how do you do it? And I would respond, how do you not? They're my children. It's the same thing with dealing with Maddox's death is, how do you do it? Well, how do you not? You have to stick together and talk it out and work through it and argue and not talk and not blame each other. I blamed Kathleen for the longest time. I did. And got over it. How could it possibly be my fault? It's your fault.
That's a harsh thing to say.
I can guarantee you that those people that didn't make it didn't get past that.
Right.
And we did because I spoke it. And she's always like, just blame me. If you need to blame me to get through this, then you do it. Whatever will get you through this. And over the course of time, therapy and family, it's always going to be my fault. But it wasn't my fault. And I think you understand that from having children. It's
yep.
Right. You're the dad, the stereotype. The dad's supposed to take care of everything. Well, I didn't. And people, it's not your fault. And for the longest time, it was. And we got through it. She would tell me it's not your fault. And I said, I'm the dad. But so getting through it wasn't easy. But what choices did we have? Separate and lose our 3 kids?
Right.
We're a good family. We stick together.
Last summer, my daughter, not this past summer, the year before this past summer, my daughter wanted to go with her friend to the Philippines. So we make an annual trip out to New York. That's where I'm from, too. And we used to do it from the winters during Christmas. And it got over time. That drive across 90 right below the Lake Erie is in the middle of winter. That's a rough drive. But
Pennsylvania's long.
Well, we take 90, so then we go into 86, and then straight across western New York.
Oh, okay. We go a little south because we go towards the city.
Right, sure. It makes sense. You probably take 80, probably further out. Yeah, Pennsylvania is terribly long. But you'd be surprised how long it takes as long to get to New York from here than it does to get from the western edge of New York to where we go.
Really?
Yeah, that's how big New York is. Yeah.
People don't get that. Oh, it's Manhattan.
Right, yeah, exactly.
You from the city?
That's a great old joke from one of the National Lampoon's vacation movies. Oh, you're from the U.S. How's New York? It's like, yeah. Do you know Bob? And it was hard for me and my wife to make the decision to let her go, but it was easier for me. And my wife has what you have, that feeling of I have to protect them under every circumstance. If something goes wrong, it's my fault because I didn't protect them. And I have a slightly different philosophy on life. I think, what happened there? Oh, that's weird. I have a different philosophy on life where sometimes letting them be is the obligation to allow them to be what they are going to be or not be what their full potential is. And it was funny. Do you remember that movie came out last summer? I think it was called A Cry of Freedom, or it was a movie about the smugglers of child traffickers.
No, I did not.
Okay.
I can't watch children.
Okay, it was funny. So I asked my wife, I said, hey, my daughter was in the Philippines. I said, hey, you want to go see that movie, whatever it is? And she goes, no, are you stupid? You want me to watch a movie about child trafficking while my daughter's in Philippines without us? I was like, okay, you're right. I am pretty stupid. But I always felt it's good to let them go and learn. And yes, I understand if I made the mistake and something terrible happened, I own that for the rest of my life, and I'm stuck with that. But I also think the experience she got by giving that freedom to exist is so much more important. And I understand that I would have to live with those consequences if I'm wrong, but I do think it's powerful. Ralph, you've got 2 other kids, right? 3 other kids. I'm sorry, 3 other boys, right? The twins and yeah, I forgot. The fact that you're here for them to be that is just so damn important. And I got to imagine in your situation, the temptation to just be a recluse and back away from everyone else who counts on you, has got to be so strong.
I pamper my kids and I spoil them, but not from the simple point of I don't want to lose another one. And so they get what they want. Well, the 19-year-old is taking way advantage of that.
They will.
Oh, man, is he. And people who know him love him, but man, is he. I need more money. I hovered for a long time. Actually, the twins decided to go to Whitewater, and I finally asked them why. They both go to the same school. Dad, 30% of why we don't want to go far is because of you. We want you to be okay. So I got to carry that one. My kids decided to stay, relatively close, right? 47 minutes.
That carries guilt in itself.
Because they didn't get that college experience away from home, being far, having to figure out how to get home, when to come home.
Yeah.
Holidays, all that kind of stuff. They didn't get that, and that's that. I have to own that, and that stinks. But Cooper, I gave him an 8-hour window. I said, you can go radius of 8 hours away, and he's like, why 8? I go, because it'll take me that long to get to you or get on a plane before you wake up. So that's why he got to go to where he's going in Kentucky, Murray State. And it's 7 hours away, and he went right to the limit. But then again, that's Cooper.
Yeah, so, but you know what? That's, like you said, that's Cooper, right? So that's what Cooper needs to do.
And he's getting it. So for a while, I did pamper, I did protect, and the whole goal, and I did give everything. The whole goal was I don't want to lose another child, and I don't want my kids to hate me, because them hating me is like losing another child.
Sure.
But they get it. 23, they're living at home, no jobs, don't tell anybody. Cooper, 19, at school, they get it now. And they're finally, I'm finally able to say, do what you need to do. It's not easy.
That's a big step.
Man, if you looked at the stuff I did from the age of 13 to... I am surprised I'm not in jail or dead from all the crazy stuff. But once again, that was, right, the 80s.
Yeah.
So
we didn't wear helmets. We didn't wear seatbelts.
Oh my God!
Our parents probably smoked. I remember my mom would. I went to a Catholic school. We had ties. She would be sitting there tying my tie with a cigarette in her mouth, blowing it in my face. We had a small 2-door Datsun 210. There's 6 of us in the family.
Windows closed.
Didn't have with the windows closed right there, and the back windows didn't go down. They were just those vent windows, and there was no air conditioning. And we would be on the the Pennsylvania Turnpike the Turnpike on our way to go visit family 4 hours away with the smoke. Just you couldn't see out the windows. It was so foggy in the car. It was different times.
It was, but that made us tougher.
I think so.
No
made some of us tougher, gave some of us cancer.
Yeah. But but the boys are. I had to do what I had to do, and they knew it, and they understand it now, and they're okay.
That's awesome.
But there was a while where I kept them literally close to the vest.
Yeah, and that's not where humans need to be free.
Right.
They need to be, and sometimes it doesn't work out the way we want it to.
No, but we do have a family thing even before Maddox died. We hug when someone leaves the house, and we say, I love you. We hug before we go to bed and say, I love you. And sometimes I hug when they get home. So there were always hugs and I love yous at every step of the way in our family, and I think that's why we're as tight as we are.
I think that's huge. And this was before he passed?
Yeah, and he was the biggest hugger. Like I told you, he got in trouble for invading people's personal space.
Sure.
So yeah, we're tight, and Maddox's death has just made us tighter.
That's good to know, and I hope that's promising to anyone listening who's going through it, either for a long time or if it's new, because there is light at the end of the tunnel if you stick together. And hearing what Kathleen did, allowing you to blame her, I couldn't imagine anyone I know saying, yeah, if you need to do this to be better, you can blame me. I will wear that for you while you heal. That's incredible. You're a lucky guy.
I am. Don't look behind the curtain, no doubt.
I promise I won't.
So I just wanted to say that just about the foundation, we do events. I can say that, right?
Yeah, of course.
And we have one coming up on April 12th. It's called the 3rd Annual Maddox Bash.
Oh, cool. What is it? Is it dinner, a party?
You get dinner, and we have silent auctions, and we have a meat raffle and a band. And we have, different levels of tables and stuff. You get individual. You can get a Maddox table. You can get a Captain America table. Different prices. You get different things when you get those, when you buy the different tables. It's a great night. People spend money. People have a great time. The band is great, and I forget their name, so please forgive me. And they've been doing it for 3 years. Great food. People have never complained. I think the meat raffle's the big key. And but that's our 3rd annual VFW in Antioch.
Oh, okay.
April 12th, 5:30 to 11. Now,
if someone was interested in finding out more about the event, can they find that info on the website?
There's just a this is the event, and there should be a link on that to go sign up. But on the website under events, there's a link that you can register to go to.
Okay.
Or my flyers are out on Facebook, and you can just QR code them, and you can sign up. Or you can. We always are looking for donations and donors.
So the one thing, because of our license, what we got to do is we got to be careful, right? We can't. Yeah. We have an FCC community radio license, so I just want to be careful. I think we're right at the kind of the line there. So, but just to more succinctly, I do want to say that your website is the Butterfly Effect Maddox.org, and that's MADDOX.org. And I did notice that on your website there's a link. If someone's interested, they can click on the BASH registration form. I see that. There's opportunities where if people are interested, they could donate and volunteer, and then learn more about you, the programs, who you are, and then your partner organizations, as well as some contact information. So it's a really nice website. I looked at it. It's great. I see a ton of local businesses supporting you.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
They do.
And I know how hard it is. Like I said, I went through it with my folks. Different because my sister was 35 when she passed, and my folks were much older. But I saw them live hell. I said live through hell for years, to the point where I remember we'd go home for Christmas, and Mom would just kind of honestly say, "We're ready. We've gotten what we've got out of our lives. We're ready." It's the hardest thing in the world. It's not the right order.
No, you're not supposed to bury your children.
No, you're not supposed to. And I worked with a foundation over in Highland Park called the Save a Star Foundation, and it was the family lost their son. It was a drug overdose, and it just ripped them apart and destroyed them. And they went a similar foundation route. But we used to have the golf outings for their foundation, but never 160 people. So I'm just amazed at that. That's awesome.
Dick, it's not easy. You know, people show up, they sign up, they show up, they play golf, they spend money, they go home. The day after the bash will be, a living nightmare till September 20th.
Oh, really? Yeah. Those are huge things to plan, especially all the different goodie bags and everything.
Yeah.
Ralph, thank you so much. If you do me a favor, when you're having the golf outing, actually, no, probably because you'll probably be sold out by August. But if you're looking to get people to know about the golf outing when it's coming up, I'd like you to come back on.
Absolutely.
I promise we won't keep you this long next time.
Hey, you don't even have to ask. If I would look up and I'd see 4:00, it wouldn't shake me. I'd be like, wow, I got 3 hours to talk about Maddox and the foundation and my family.
I'm so grateful to do that then.
I'll come back anytime you can't get a guest.
Oh, man. Awesome. I'll make sure you're on speed dial. Sometimes we get last-minute cancellations. For everyone listening, starting next week, I'm actually excited. We're going to start bringing some musicians in. So we're going to have some live events here with singers and some acoustic and maybe even a little bit of electric stuff.
That's cool.
Ralph, thanks so much. Please send my love to your family.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Appreciate the time.
My pleasure. Thanks for being here. Thanks, everyone. We will see you next week when we start our live music review on Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr. Take care.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the heart of our community, exploring the ins and outs of real estate and meeting the people who make Lake County truly remarkable. Remember, every property has a story, and every community member holds a key to unlocking our county's full potential. Don't miss out on discovering more hidden gems and expert insights. Make sure to tune in every Wednesday at 12 noon for another episode of Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr. Until then, keep exploring, keep dreaming, and keep unlocking the possibilities that await you in Lake County. Thank you for listening, and see you next week.